What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It is time for the first roster review update of 2021, and I couldn't be more excited. It's finally here. Now, for those of you that were around for 2020, you'll know that they made a lot of aggressive moves based on the shortened season. They basically compressed everything, understanding that if they waited for normal sample sizes to show actual gains, then there would have been nothing doing with those roster updates because we'd have run out of time. So they were making moves quick and aggressively. They're bringing it back to pre-2020 levels this year. So you're going to see some big moves, especially this one, because there's about a month of game time, plus some guys that they have to catch up on from maybe being a little low coming into the season. But for the most part, over the course of these updates, it'll be less aggressive than last year. There'll still be level movers every week, I think. Well, every week that merits it. They're not going to make somebody up just to go up there. But it'll be more tame than previously. So you're going to see maybe some 5-pointers. You can see one here on the screen. Like, that's going to constitute a very big move for somebody who's already silver or above. Usually the biggest moves come from the commons and bronzes to kind of catch them up with where they're currently playing. Meanwhile, the higher tiers move a little bit slower because you don't want to overreact to a couple weeks at a time. So let's dive in. We're going to go position by position and talk about the entire thing. You see off top the studs, all three of them, the three that were seen as the best pitchers in baseball coming into this year, at least from a fantasy standpoint. Although with pitching, the best in fantasy usually tracks to the best in the game. In hitting, it can be different because stolen bases are at such a premium. But with pitchers, if they're the three best in fantasy, they're pretty much the three best in real life. And you can see they all got a little love, which was needed. And they'll probably continue to go up all year. Bieber will probably go 90 plus next time out if he continues to pitch as he has been. Bauer catching up to them there with a couple points himself. I could see him going 90 plus, especially if he continues this trend. He's been amazing this year in his first year with the Dodgers. Yu Darvish made that big change a couple years ago in the second half where he's just stopped walking guys all of a sudden. He's become one of the premium pitchers in the game since then. He's out of his mind with the Padres. Lance Lynn, this one was one we talked about where it's going to set up for Diamond. He'll be back from the IL, I believe, this weekend. Should be fine and really becomes a Diamond potential investment. He made it there last year. I think he can make it again for sure. Now, this is one that some folks were thinking maybe would go Diamond off rip. It's one of those things where maybe they could have done it. Char's upset. She had a lot of Corbin Burns going Diamond, so she's crying. It wouldn't have been out of bounds if they did. I'll say that because of how well he pitched last year. But I'm fine with them being a little bit more, cautious with it and just saying, okay, let's get him up to the high gold and then set up Diamond potential going forward, because it is still just 29 innings and it was only a 2-month season last year. Bottom line, though, is he still seems destined for Diamond. He did go on the IL yesterday, yesterday being Thursday the 29th, depending on when you're watching this. It was for an unspecified reason, and it was unspecified which IL he went on. If you go on the COVID IL, you can go for 2 days and be back, just from, maybe getting sick from the second shot. It doesn't seem like it's an injury, but it did cause a little bit of a price dip. And now the fact that he didn't go Diamond may cause a further price dip. I got to be honest, if I can get Burns at 3,000 or below at this point, I'm probably going to get a few more to stack on top of what I got. He seems like a darn near guaranteed Diamond. Don't sleep on Brandon Woodruff, his teammate, who's also pitching brilliantly this year. And I don't see any way, or I shouldn't say I don't see any way, because obviously performance matters. I see a very strong chance of him going Diamond this year as well. They may end up with 2 Diamond starters by the end of the season, and then a third at gold, as my dog steps on my wire here, and a third at gold with Freddie Peralta. So, I really like what the Brewers are doing with their pitching. It's leading them right now while their offense is terrible, and Burns and Woodruff could be both Diamonds by Memorial Day, to be honest. Kenta Maeda had to come down a little bit. He's struggling. I did a little bit of a deep dive on him on stream recently. I really don't see any reasons to worry, though, whether it's fantasy that you're talking about or even here in MLB The Show. I could see him being a sneaky investment on the cheap. You'd be buying low for a potential return to Diamond down the line. You have to be patient. I think it would take, at least a month of good work, because I feel like he would go 82 back to 84 and then go to Diamond, so it would take a couple updates. So probably 4 to 6 weeks. But if the price is low, I can't see prices in here, but if he's tracking, if he takes a price dip, I think you buy the dip on Maeda, maybe stash a few aside, because there's nothing in his arsenal or in his skills that suggests that he should have a 6.56 ERA. He's just a little bit off right now. The home runs are high with 7. That's kind of an outlier. But you see 20 strikeouts, 5 walks in 23 innings. I'm not worried about Maeda. Keep a close eye on him. If you don't want to invest yet, at least keep him on your watch list to jump in when he starts to turn the corner. Gallen was kind of an easy gold. He's the first new gold that we get to. He came off the IL and he's just been excellent. If somebody was, in a coma while he got hurt and then came out of it, they'd have never known that there was a giant health scare with that stress fracture, because he looks like the Gallen that we were all excited about all winter before the injury. So he's come back. He looks awesome. There's a chance for a diamond run here. It would take a while. He's still 4 points away, but he's got the raw skills to do so. If he stays healthy, I think we'll be talking about Gallen for diamond in the near future. Okay. I don't know. Look, his strikeouts are up, as you can see, 11.5 here, so that's where he got the boost, and then his hit rate. I gotta be honest, I'm surprised they even gave him the love, though, because usually when someone's performing this bad, they just kind of leave him alone if they're not going to downgrade him. So they gave him kind of a one up, one down type of deal with the Ks going up and the hits coming down. It ended up being a +1 for somebody who's pitched poorly in the 11 innings that he's thrown and is currently on the IL. If Castillo doesn't turn it around, he's going silver soon. He is not as close as I think Maeda is, but I also haven't seen anything that has me gravely concerned about Luis Castillo. The hits are through the roof right now. I do think that there is some... I'm not saying I would invest in him because he's 5 points away. I don't think he's going to go to diamond this year. But as far as fantasy, I might buy low on him. I'm not as concerned about Castillo as some folks. I think he's a cold weather hater. And so his Aprils for most of his career have been a little sketchy. There was no April last year. So that helped him kind of get out of the gate a little bit better. I keep an eye on Castillo for sure. Ohtani goes up 1 to an 80. And this goes back to me having no idea how much the hitter stats influence a pitching card. I have to believe that it's not that much, because his power did go up, and I believe my Twitch chat told me before that his speed went up as well. I can't see those from here, so I'd have to go out into the inventory to show it. But it just means that the hitting does not matter as much, and so that's why he's probably not going to go diamond. And I wonder what this is going to do to his price, the fact that he only got +1. And until he starts pitching better, I mean, he's got a 3.29 ERA, but it's sketchy. Like, his strikeouts are great, but he walks too many guys. He's really in between right now. So I don't really see diamond unless they change something with the hitting actually mattering more. Another new gold here, Jose Barrios. This was a pretty obvious one. He's been one of the best pitchers going so far this year. Mr. No-Hitter himself gets the 5 points. I only had him for 4, so hey, I was a little light on this one, but I'm glad to see that he did go gold. He has been fantastic. I have no problem with this move. I just thought maybe he'd only get 4 points. Instead, they give him the full 5 up to a gold. I'm cool with it. Greinke had to come down a little bit. He's been, a little bit hit and miss with regards to his core stats. His his results are still there. 3.44 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. Lots to like as far as that goes. But the strikeouts are way down, and they were already pretty low. And they're down to 6.6. And he's allowing about a hit per inning. So those had to go down a little bit for a -1. Andrew Heaney gets +2. He's sitting on the cusp of gold. He's definitely a hold for gold if you're interested in him. I mean, the path is there, right? If he keeps up this strikeout rate, I think that can get him there. If he fixes his walk rate, that can get him there. If he's, allows even fewer hits or continues to keep this hit rate, he can get there. There's many avenues. Andrew Heaney is an easy hold for gold. The major risk with him is always health, but his skills are there. He looks great so far this year, and I'll put him on the hold for gold. Dylan Bundy's definitely a hold for gold. I actually thought he was going to make it and get the 2 points. Instead, they only give him 1 for the strikeouts. Keep a close eye on him. If you invested already, just hold. Same with Lance McCullers. I had him at a 79 because of that walk rate, so this played out exactly how I saw it. But we know exactly what he needs to do to get up there. Either surge in strikeouts or trim the walks. Either of those avenues will get him there. hold McCullers. Like Heaney, though, injury is the major concern here, but we can't predict injury, so we got to kind of invest, go forward with it, and we'll play it how it goes, and hopefully he stays healthy, because Lance McCullers is super, super fun to watch, and health has always kind of gotten in his way. I'd love to see a full season out of him this year, health-wise. Julio Urias is another one I did have going to gold. He gets just the 1 point. And okay, got it. I'm actually surprised, though, that he didn't get any K9 because he's at 9.4 Ks per 9, and that's for a 60. That seems pretty low, right? Like, you have to be careful because I don't have all their historical numbers committed to memory. But I look here and I see he had a 9.6 and he gets boosted 3 points when he was already at 66. He's got a 9.4 and he can't get any love there. I think Urias needs to be gold. He's a premier hold for gold. I'm not moving one bit off of Julio Urias. Eduardo Rodriguez gets 2 bonuses, but then gets dropped in his Ks despite being at 10.2. I guess he was higher than that last year. I don't recall, to be quite honest. This seems like a hold for gold now, too, though. He's pitching well, and, you know, obviously these 79s that are pitching well are right there on the cusp of gold. If I have to rank these guys right here, these 5, I'll say Urias, Bundy, McCullers, Heaney, Rodriguez would be my order. They are all hold for gold, though. I will say that. Corey Kluber gets downgraded. He's obviously been pretty rough. The ERA isn't too bad, but you look at that whip, and that spells danger. It's not too surprising that he lost gold, and a -3 was necessary. There's another guy who was right there on the cusp that I thought could get to gold this week. I'm staying firm with Freddie Peralta. I have no concerns about whether or not he can get there. Maybe they just want to see a little bit more because he is somebody who's been in a hybrid role recently where he's a reliever and a starter, mostly a relief. Now that he's a full-time starter, he's popping off. They just want to see a little bit more. I get it. Hopefully he has a couple of low walk outings that'll help him, and then he could be there in no time. This one is a big surprise to me. I didn't think there was any way that Glasnow would miss. Even though he needed 4 points, which is a pretty big boost, I thought he was a surefire gold. So there's a miss, but I'm undeterred. I'm not moving off of him at all, obviously. So stand by. If I'm throwing him into the mix, he and Peralta, then Glasnow goes to the top. Peralta goes just ahead of McCullers. So it would be Glasnow, Urias, Bundy, Peralta, McCullers, Heaney, Rodriguez. I think I have that. I think I'm tracking right there. I'm not going to add anybody else to it, even though Dustin May is also 79. I'm losing track of how I'm ordering them. This was another one that was like, hey, 80 is a big move. That's 5 points. They only gave him +4 in the strikeouts per 9 right now. I understand if they want to kind of see if it's legit. That's chill. But everything about it looks legitimate. And I don't see how he's not gold very soon. I have he and Julio Urias neck and neck at this point. So, you know, put him by Urias in that list if you want to do that. Aaron Savali, I kind of let you guys know that he wasn't going to get there this week. Some of y'all were really confident, and the strikeout rate just wasn't there. In fact, they actually took his strikeout rate down because he's only at 7.0 for the year, and that's fine. I still see strikeout stuff with Aaron Savali. He has an arsenal that can get swings and misses. He's just kind of in between as to figuring out exactly how to best utilize his arsenal. He can get the outs, and the results are unimpeachable. 2.94 ERA and a .92 whip. But we need skills to go with it. There's no ERA on the card, so you can have the lowest ERA you want, but if your core skills aren't there, then you're not going to move up that far. So I understood why they only gave him +1 here. Definitely invest for gold, though. I really like Aaron Savali long term. This was another miss that I was really surprised did not hit. I was more confident in Glasnow than Gausman, but I also had Gausman going gold. They only give him a +1. Little tough on his K9. Now, here's what I'm starting to learn, I guess, is that somewhere a strikeout per inning or just over a strikeout per inning is somewhere in the 60s now, and that just speaks to where Ks have gone, and that's okay. I mean, that's where we're at with them. I will say I'm a little surprised that his walk rate comes down, though. I'm wondering why that's the case when he has 2.0 walks per 9. That's only good for a 67. He has 6 walks in 27 2/3, and he loses a point. That's a little interesting to me. Either way, still hold for gold pretty easily. Zach Wheeler got nooched. That means he had a neutral move. So he gets 2+3s and a -3, and that ends up leaving him right where he's at. Definitely somebody who can go gold. He finished gold last year. Just hold. Pablo Lopez, very much holding. Also, he didn't quite get nooched. He did get +1. Still very confident in what he's doing. I love the talent. I'm not buckling at all here. Michael Pineda gets +3, gets into silver. There's like a tinge of gold potential here because we know how good he can be, but he kind of is who he is though. And every year he has a good run. A lot of times he has a good run at like the beginning of the year. We buy in. I was like, this is going to be some huge breakout. Then he comes back to the pack of who he is, then gets hot again. Then, you know, he's an up and down kind of guy. And it's because he only has 2 pitches that he effectively uses, the fastball and the slider. And he'll go through a period when one of them just isn't there for him, and he'll get beat up a little bit, usually via the home runs. So as far as Pineda goes, I would not really invest for gold. I think he's too volatile. Plus, he has a big health profile issue as well. He gets hurt frequently. So I've always liked Pineda as a pitcher. He's been maddening in the fantasy landscape because I predicted him for a breakout for like several years based on his raw talent and core skills, and it never really came through. But I still like Michael Pineda. I still root for him. But until we see more, I'm not investing for gold yet. Zach Plesac takes a hit. Listen, the simple fact is that he was a bit overrated coming off of last year. It's not that he's bad, and I certainly don't think he's this bad, 5.81 ERA. And here's a good thing to look at, right? I mentioned this with Kluber on the other end. When you see ERA and WHIP, when they're really far apart, you can usually figure out which one is the broken one, right? So let me go back to Kluber real quick. 4.15 ERA, that's not too bad. A 4.15, teams will take that. You might not love it in fantasy, but in real life, a 4.15 is quite good. But a 1.71 whip. So you look at a combo like that, and the ERA is fraudulent. Because when you're allowing that many base runners, you're lucky to have a 4.15 ERA. Now, if he fixes the whip, then the ERA can become more real. But as it stands right now, the whip or the ERA is fraudulent. Then you come over to somebody like Plesac and you see a 5.81 ERA with a 1.18 whip. Well, that tells you that the ERA is a bit fraudulent because he's not allowing base runners and that he's been a little bit unlucky. Now, he's doing some of it on his own for sure. When your strikeouts dip all the way down to 6.2 and you give up over a hit per inning, you're definitely contributing to your own troubles. But the bottom line is if you maintain a whip this good, your ERA will come down. So I'm not taking him off the hook for everything he's done this year. I'm just saying that it's going to get better if he continues to keep base runners at bay like this. I would not dive in for gold because I'm not sold that his stuff is strikeout stuff, which is where he needs to improve most at this point. But if you are, if you're keyed in on him and you're watching his starts and you start to see that slider start to miss bats at a higher clip and the strikeouts go up, maybe we start to get in on a hold for gold. But for now, I'm sitting tight on Plesac. I'm not really that interested. German Marquez, he's in Coors, man. I mean, he got -1 here. He'll probably go through a run at some point where it looks like he can get gold, and he may even get there. But the volatility of Coors means I'll never invest in him. I can't. It's too scary. I mean, I shouldn't say never. There's probably a scenario that would set up where I would be interested, but for the most part, no. I'm certainly not going to bet on spec, meaning I'm not going to speculate that his stats will improve just because of his overall talent. He's very talented. If German Marquez was anywhere but Coors, he would be like an 83. Like I'm pretty dead set on that. He's like an 83 talent. But he pitches in the worst park in the universe, and that creates a lot of volatility, and it puts a lot of pressure on his road starts to be like perfect because he knows he's going to go home and probably get blitzed due to that crazy-ass park. Kyle Hendricks comes down. He's struggling big time. Marcus Stroman goes up, 76. He still needs 4 points for gold. I just don't see it. He just doesn't miss enough bats. He's a very good pitcher. Any major league team would be happy to have him, but for our purposes of MLB The Show, he just doesn't do the things that you need, namely the strikeouts, to become a gold tier card. Ian Anderson gets to silver. There is gold upside here. He's definitely somebody that you could have gotten in on bronze if you wanted to wait for the hold for gold. His price probably won't skyrocket here going to silver, so he is definitely somebody that has long-term hold for gold upside. I do like Ian Anderson. John means business, baby. He's been awesome. He really has. And this was bubbling under the surface last year. His stuff got a lot better. A lot of velo added, a lot of nastiness, a lot of movement. But the velo was a little bit too much. And he even talked about this with some of their reporters over there in Baltimore. Melanie Newman, I was talking with her on Twitter last year. She had mentioned to me about how he was not being able to command his changeup with the new velo. So that was one of his best pitch, arguably his best pitch. He was losing command and control of it because of the extra velo. And generally, obviously, you want your changeup to be a bit slower anyway, but everything went up. So the added velo wasn't necessarily bad because there was still that split between his fastball and his changeup, but he didn't know where anything was going. And he really lost the feel of the changeup. And that's when he realized, you know what, maybe this velo isn't so necessary. So he dialed it back, got back into his own game, finished strong last year. He's off to a great start this year. And I do think that there is some long-term hold for gold upside, maybe into June. So if you have patience, I say maybe throw a few John Meanses to the side, and we'll keep a close eye on him. Sandy Alcantara gets to silver, unsurprisingly. He's pitching very well. The Marlins have had excellent starting pitching so far this year. Alcantara's been part of it. We know exactly how he can get to gold. It's strikeouts, right? And he's got just under a strikeout per inning. And if he continues at that clip, he'll continue to go up because a 56 is too low for somebody who's right there. You can see 36 strikeouts and 36 and 2/3. So it's basically a strikeout per inning, right? If his next batter is struck out, then it's 37 and 37. So that's worth something in the 60s, but not yet because of where he's coming from. So I think if he continues to at least be right at that strikeout per inning level, he'll move into the 60s there. But he does need 4 points. So something else has to give as well. Either he needs to keep stifling walks or hits or really jump the Ks up. Between those three things, I think the most likely would be the stifling the walks. Sandy Alcantara also has long-term hold for gold. Like John Means, if you can wait into June and you have that kind of patience to wait 4 to 6 weeks, I think Sandy Alcantara could pay off if you want to get in now. J-Hap gets nooched. He does get a big hit 9 because he took that no-hitter deep into the game. He's pitching very well, though, otherwise. It's not just that game. But he doesn't strike guys out, and his walk rate is it's good, but it's not great. And it's been great before, so they did drop him 5 points there. But the hits per 9 definitely gets him to a 76. I don't see gold here because even if he gets his strikeout rate back to where it's been, I don't know that it would be enough to close the gap on 4 points. Brady Singer. Now, this is somebody I really like. I liked him coming into the year. What they did last year with bringing up Singer and Bubic, I thought was really impressive and aggressive. They showed that, hey, with this wacky season that we have, we're going to challenge some of these young pitchers that we have and see what they're made of. And Singer really stood tall. Bubic was good too, by the way. I don't want to shade him. He showed some things as well, but Singer really stood out to me as somebody that I'm going to keep a close eye on. Got him in a few fantasy leagues coming into this year. He's been off to a great start. You see his strikeouts have really turned up, 25 and 21 in the third. Keep a close eye on that. If he continues to strike out guys at this clip, he can absolutely get to gold, but it will take those strikeouts holding at a very high level. At least 1 per inning is what he's going to need to get there, and he's going to need to do it for another month or so. Again, when you're 4 points out, you're going to have to go for a good while to continue this upward trend here and close that gap. So if I'm ranking the guys that I just said are hold for gold between Ian Anderson, Means, Alcantara, and Singer, I'm going to go Alcantara, Means, and Anderson. Means and Anderson are they're tied for 2. I'm going to cop out. I'm going to say they're tied for 2 because I can't really separate them. I'm going to go Alcantara, Means, and Anderson right there, and then Singer a little bit lower. So that's how I would invest in them based on where I see their potential for gold. Kopech gets a massive upgrade. Now, part of this is the position change. When you go from RP to SP, you get a few points just off rip. So it's all 11 points do not come from these gains here, just so you know that. But he did get a healthy boost. He's been pitching remarkably well. We know what his talent can be. Even though he's far away, he is probably the most volatile of these 76s. I would think his hold for gold potential is pretty high. As far as investing, I think I would still have Alcantara as a more stable investment. But as far as like, Kopech could be the first one there, or he could be bronze and back at reliever in 2 weeks, right? So that, what's your stomach for the volatility? And let that determine how much you want to invest in him. But he does have the upside to be at gold quickly, meaning like Memorial Day, if he keeps pitching like this. Christian Javier has been excellent this year for the Astros. He got off to a great start last year, showed some big things with the Astros in 2020. He's carrying on where that left off last year, and I absolutely see some hold for gold potential with him if these strikeouts maintain. So keep him on your radar as well. I'd put him in that Means Ian Anderson realm. I'm now adding 3 guys there just below Alcantara and Kopech. Yo, my boy Matthew Boyd is out here now. I'm a huge Tigers fan, as y'all know. So I've been watching all these Matthew Boyd starts. And it's really interesting because he's not getting the strikeouts that he was been known for these last few years. But he's really dialed in his command and control as a trade-off. And the results are there. So frankly, I love seeing this as a Tigers fan. It does not bode as well for his fantasy purposes or for his MLB The Show card because everyone wants those strikeouts. But who's complaining about a 2.27 ERA and a .93 WHIP? So they gave him a nice, healthy upgrade here. They bring him back into the picture for a potential gold, but it's not going to happen without those strikeouts coming back. And I don't think it's as easy as saying, well, hey, Matt, just strike out more guys. Because he's like, well, yeah, if that was that easy, I would. But the problem is he seems to lose his command of stuff when he's going for the strikeouts, and it results in all those homers. Yeah, he throws a lot of nasty sliders, but when he misses, it's fat and it's 450 the other way into the stands. So as the guy that he is right now, I do not see gold coming. You can keep an eye on him if you want, put him on your watch list, but do not invest in Matthew Boyd right now. He's a long way from gold, and we'd have to see some smoothing out of this skill set where the strikeouts would have to go up at least a little bit and ideally maintain the hits and the walks and the home run suppression as well. Carlos Rodon, honestly, just copy everything I said about Kopech. He could be there by Memorial Day with the way he's pitching, or, unfortunately, he could be out for the year with an injury. And I hope that doesn't happen. I really, really like Carlos Rodon. I've been rooting for him since his NC State days. Health has absolutely just been in his way at every turn. He's starting to find some health this year, and he looks awesome. Rich Hill, I mean, he's been gold before. I don't really see it this. I mean, he lost points this, so I'm not. I shouldn't even be talking about him like that because he's going downward. But yeah, like, I think he'll be bronze at some point this year. How about that? I thought Molly would get a little bit more. I thought he'd go to 76, but I'm not going to quibble over 1 point. He's in the silver realm. He joins the hold for gold realm, and it's going to be long term, right? It's going to be about a month or so. You're going to need another 2 updates, I think, of Tyler Mahle pitching well to get there. But I think I have like 40 of him, and I'm not buckling off that. I'm in for the long haul on Tyler Mahle. I love his talent. He's one of the guys I make an appointment to watch when he's pitching. If I miss his start, then I rewatch it in the morning. I really, really like watching Tyler Mahle pitch, and I think he's in the midst of a breakout year. Patrick Corbin. Ooh, it's been rough. Jake Arrieta pitched really well. He got a really favorable schedule to start the season, got himself back into bronze. I do not see gold. Danny Duffy. Danny Duffy is probably an even more volatile version of the Rodon Kopech situation, wherein he has the talent to get there, but he's a good bit older than both of them, and he has injury issues, and he has performance issues too, meaning he could go sideways with these skills. So he's 5 points away. I wouldn't even think about investing in him yet. Just keep him in the back of your mind. He's pitching well. KC's having a good season. He's on the watch list. Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery is somebody I've liked now for a while. He's finally kind of getting back. You know, last year would have been his first full year after some time off for injury. Of course, it was only a 2-month season. So this year's going to be that year. I think he's going to end up being quite good this year. He probably peaks around 78, but if he starts to trickle up to 77, 78, then we'll really focus on him as a potential gold. John Gray, I mean, of course, right? He's a lesser Marquez, and if I can't get Marquez to gold, then I can't get John Gray there either. Alex Wood, is like, who was I just? Oh yeah, he's in the Danny Duffy realm. Older, injuries aplenty, the talent to get to gold eventually, like July we would be talking, but could also just as easily be out for the year at the drop of a hat because of his health profile. So we're not really investing in him right now. But hey, I love watching him pitch well. You know what I really want, SDS? Hey, I'm being a greedy Gus, okay? Because you guys have been amazing with the content, the golds and the silvers. Thank you. I love it. All the new BR cards that you're putting in for golds and silvers. Can I get that gold Alex Wood, though? Can I be greedy? Can I be a little greedy here? You guys have been killing it already, but can I be a greedy Gus and just get a little Alex Wood gold reliever and just destroy my opponents with him for like 300 innings over the course of this year? I'd love to do that. Johnny Cueto, this is one of my favorite performances so far of the year. I love Johnny Cueto. Was a huge fan of his with Cincinnati. Did well with KC. Had a couple good years with San Francisco, but injuries have ravaged his last few years. He's off to an excellent start. I definitely think he can get to silver. Now, when you're doing like hashtag save for silver, that's not a get rich type of realm of taking bronzes who are going to get to silver. You're not going to make a ton of stubs doing that. The reason that you would want to do that is for exchanges, to save on exchanges. So, you know, seeing that he could probably cap out around 77, 78, if you buy now at 74, those extra points, you're paying cheap for him, right? But he also has a major health profile that you have to be careful with. So I wouldn't necessarily go crazy here. But if you put a few aside that you want to exchange for when he goes silver, I could see that. But for now, just sit on the sidelines and root for Johnny Cueto because he's easy to root for. Big jump for Jacob Junis. But again, part of this is just moving from RP to SP. You get like a 5-point boost there. So that's 4 or 5 of the points. And then the rest is from this performance here, which has been really good. His strikeouts are through the roof. He is performing well. I could see silver, but that's it. Again, I can see silver, but that's it. Carlos Martinez is still kind of a mess right now. Robbie Ray, he got nooched, as he should, because sure, he's pitching all right with the ERA. Again, ERA and whip. Which of these two is not like the other? A 138 whip does not marry with a 281 ERA. Do not invest. Steven Matz got bumped around in his last outing, moved his ERA up all the way to 4. But you see a 115 whip, 9 strikeouts per 9. He's still pitching very well. One bad outing does not ruin all the good that he's done. He's definitely got silver potential. Long-term gold. Like, he could get there, but we don't even need to start talking about it yet. Taijuan Walker, I'm a huge Taijuan Walker fan. He is walking too many guys right now, which I guess fits his name. But you see the whip, a little too high for a 2.14 ERA, but the strikeouts are great. Bottom line is, can he turn down the walks? If he can turn down the walks, he'll get silver, and then we'll worry about gold way later. Desclafani, the Giants need to be start getting discussed as a big reclamation project team. And it's not just their stadium. It's the fact that they are doing different things with players that are really pushing these kind of left for dead players, and they're turning them into something big. Aaron Sanchez, Alex Wood, Anthony Desclafani just this year. Kevin Gossman fits that realm. He was really bad for a while. Or okay, really bad overstates it, but he was greatly underwhelming against expectations with Baltimore. And then he had that split year with Cincinnati and Atlanta where he's pitching out of the bullpen. And this is Kevin Gossman I'm talking about, not Desclafani. And I thought that they should have left him as a reliever. Turns out I don't know what the hell I'm talking about because he's been excellent as a starter. Desclafani's always been a home run machine, so going to San Francisco definitely helps with that off rip. But as you can see, he's only allowed 2 homers in 30 innings. That's been major. He did not get a homer 9 boost yet. He probably should have, but he's going to go silver at some point if he keeps pitching like this. And he does have the raw stuff to maybe push gold, but we will talk about that once he gets to silver. I don't think there's any rush to go out and get Anthony Desclafani. Like, everyone's going to be in on boosting his price, so we'll keep him on the watch list. Luke Weaver has pitched all right this year. He's kind of trying to bounce back from some pretty ugly work in recent years. He is allowing too many hits, though. 25 hits and 25 2/3. ERA is a little high. Whip is solid. I see silver perhaps, but that's it. I don't really see a big investment opportunity. Adbert Alzolay has amazing upside, but he's remarkably volatile. You see a nice 4-point boost here. Really sets him up to maybe do some things, but I can't really get ready to invest yet just because there is so much volatility that I'm kind of just keeping an eye on him. Zach Davies has been brutal, showing last year was not his new level, and nobody really should have thought that it was. I have no problem with them starting him as a silver. He pitched remarkably well last year, but he's lost it because of this. Now, he's not this bad either. He will smooth out unless he's just like hurt and has to go on the IL or something. But this performance is really, 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 really rough. Merrill Kelly, whatever. Domingo Germán gets nooched, understandably. Waino gets a nice little boost. He's been pitching well. He could get silver, but whatever. It's kind of like the Cueto. Like, maybe you can invest in it to get a few extra points on the exchanges, but nothing that you should be really putting your stubs into. Sticks, McKenzie goes up. Strikeout rate's been on fire, but nothing else is really working for him thus far this year, so nothing to really focus on as far as our purposes. There you go. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You get 4 points just from going from RP to SP, and that's all that's happened here. Same here. This is position change plus a little bit of hits 9. Who cares? We're going to be more selective on these. We're not going to cover every single guy in detail once we kind of get to the low 70s, or else this is going to be a 5-hour video. We will talk about Michael Fulmer, though, who is pitching very well. And I could see some silver upside from him if he continues to pitch like this. You're not going to go rich going bronze to silver, like I said, but that's where it is for Fulmer. I don't really see gold potential. I absolutely see gold upside for Trevor Rogers. It could be as early as as 2 weeks from now when they do the next update. I actually had him getting the 10 points and going to silver. It was a bit aggressive, but they didn't quite get him there. I mean, 19 points on the hit 9 is huge. 7 points on the K9 is pretty big as well. Both of those do still need to go up, though, if he continues to pitch like this. He's an easy save for silver, but I'll tell you what, he's actually a hold for gold. I'm not going anywhere on Trevor Rogers. Huascar Ynoa has been awesome this year. He's had one bad outing. The Cubs ripped him. The only issue that I have here is that he's a 2-pitch guy with the slider and fastball, and that just creates some potential volatility when one of those pitches is off. Go look at his game log and see how great he's been and then how bad he was against the Cubs. When he's bad, it can be really bad because he's working with one pitch at that point, and who knows how it's going to go. Silver is definitely in the picture. I don't quite know if gold is there, just because, like I said, these 2-pitch guys can be dangerous. Remember, though, Chris Paddock got all the way to gold at one point. He might actually still be gold right now. But he did it with 2 pitches. Noah could get there, but we don't have to worry about talking about him for gold until he at least gets to a 74, 75 range. Actually, I'd say 76, 77 before we really start talking gold on him. Canning's been brutal. Drew Rasmussen only got his position changed, although I don't know why. Is he starting for? I thought he was in the bullpen, so I don't really know what happened there. Kyle Gibson, he's been pitching well. Hats off to him, but don't really see anything to worry about with him. Got Fleming, Lindblom. Lindblom got a position change. But again, he's only been relieving, so why would he go up there? That I don't really understand as far as what we're doing with that. But again, there's not really investment opportunities here as far as these guys go. If there are, I'll be sure to point them out. Like, this one's a bummer, though, because Ryan Weathers actually would have been a long-term positional long-term investment, but he just got hurt. His first start kind of having, it was not his first start of the year, but his first start kind of like having the job and looking like he could be the 5th starter for a long time, and he gets hurt in the first inning, dude. That freaking blows. Keep an eye on him and see what happens with the injury, but for now, I would not invest because he's light years away from doing anything, right? He's 5 points even from silver, let alone any potential gold. So we can't really go yet, but at least keep him on your radar if the injury proves not to be a big issue. Waka jumps up, gets some love. Kikuchi finally had his good start for the first time this year. His stuff, now, Kikuchi keeps tricking us seemingly every year, right? Because in spring training, he'll have like this amazing stuff. The break will be off the charts. The velo will be up. et cetera, et cetera. And everyone kind of puts him on their fantasy sleeper lists. And until his most recent start, that was looking like, what are we doing? This guy's no good. He had an excellent start last time out. We'll see if this kind of spurs him, but I would not invest. No. Matt Harvey diced up the Yankees, but does that even count for anything? Like, that's like really easy to do at this point. So can you really count it? Taylor Widener, Nick Pivetta. Damn, Nick Pivetta, stop walking everybody, dude. I knew he had a good ERA, but again, even a 125 whip, which is not too bad, still does not match up with a 281 ERA. So there's still a disparity there where if he does not improve that whip, that ERA will go up. Wade Miley, I'm at this point when we get this deep, we're just looking for potential guys that we could maybe, invest in like super long term. And I don't really see anybody here. Like Aaron Sanchez is another reclamation that San Francisco is doing a good job with, but he just does not miss bats at a level that I think could even get him to silver, let alone gold. Jeff Hoffman was off to a great start, but then he kind of fumbled the bag there at the in the last few. I thought he might be somebody that would be on our radar for some long-term stuff, but he's just been too inconsistent. So I'll bring him back up if he merits a change, but for now, nothing. All right, so that's starting pitching. The new starting pitchers added to the game: Arihara coming over from overseas, Santana, who's been in the game before but now is back with KC. Nobody else of major note there. Let's go to RP. Devin Williams did lose a point there. He's stabilized over his last handful of outings, but at the very beginning of the year, he was definitely jacked up. I think he was battling through an injury, which was the major issue there, but he should be fine. I almost wish he'd have lost 2 so we could afford him, but instead, they only do 1. To lose Diamond, you have to be playing pretty poorly, so they're giving him a little bit of leeway. I mean, they moved him to Diamond quickly. He's kind of a unique case where they don't usually move guys that quickly to Diamond, but they did based on just how unbelievable he was last year, which I'm fine with. It's okay. I don't think it's out of bounds to do that considering how he was pitching. But we'll see if he backs it up this year. So far, he hasn't, but I'm willing to give him a pass for those first handful of outings because of the injury. Giovanni Gallegos is one of my, I think I have like 10 or 12 of him because I got him at base price, and I think this might be the year that he finally goes Diamond as a reliever. RP, I'm being specific between RP versus CP. RPs have a hard time going Diamond. I don't know what it is because even though saves don't matter for an MLB The Show card, it seems like the closing pitchers get more attention than the straight up middle relievers. Devin Williams again being an exception. Gallegos has been badass now pretty much since getting to St. Louis, and I think that it's high time that he gets even more love than this. I feel like he should already be like an 82, 83. He's an 81. It's going to take a long time if he is going to get Diamond, but I decided to put a few to the side just because he was base price, and I really do like Giovanni Gallegos. And Alex Reyes has been pitching so poorly, and so has Jordan Hicks, that I figured that he might even become the closer soon, which would get more attention for him, right? Because even though saves, again, they don't show up on the card anywhere, being a closer seems to garner a little bit more attention for you, and maybe that's just what he needs to kind of finally get the love that Gallegos deserves. Drew Pomeranz is kind of in that same boat of maybe an RP who could finally get to Diamond this year. He is 4 points away. Again, when I'm talking about these two, this is long term. We're talking all-star break probably at the earliest. So if you don't have the patience for that, don't invest. That's fine. Not every investment is for everybody. Some of you are just looking for short term. You want the quick ones. I get it. Some of you love the long-term stuff that you can set it and forget it and come back around to it down the line if it hits. Pomeranz and Gallegos would fit that criteria at the latter criteria there of setting it and forgetting it. Drew Pomeranz has been amazing since transitioning into the bullpen. Frankly, I was surprised that he didn't come in as like an 81 or an 82, similar to what I was saying with Gallegos. But they start him at 80. They've already gotten him a point. He's been amazing. If he pitches like he has the last couple years, I think he contends for Diamond this year. Now, Chad Green has been kind of the not that I don't want to say the downside, but he's like he's Gallegos and Pomeranz a little bit into the future where he's consistently threatened to maybe get there. I think he's been an 83 and an 84 multiple times, but never quite gotten over the hump. For some reason, it seems like as soon as Chad Green gets up right on the cusp of diamond, he struggles for like, he has like 3 bad outings in 5. And so they're like, okay, well, good thing we didn't put him diamond. He is a gold. So he might just be a quintessential gold. Whoops, I dropped my controller. And so I'm not really worried about him this year as far as potential gold or potential diamond, because he's not striking out guys at a huge clip just yet. Now, Ryan Stanek is somebody that I'm keeping a very close eye on, because he moves a big number here, +3 for a reliever to go to silver, and I do think that there is some gold upside. He's flashed gold upside for multiple years recently with Tampa Bay for sure. That's when I was like, man, he might be able to get to gold one day. He never quite got over the hump. He was rough with Miami last year. Now so far with Houston, he looks excellent. If he keeps up these numbers, he is gold upside. So if you want to get in now on the long term for Ryan Stanek, I could definitely see that. I wouldn't put him as one of my top investments, but I definitely put him on the board. I think I have a handful of my own right now that I'm just going to keep for, a month or so and just kind of see where it goes, because he was so cheap as a bronze. He's not going to be that expensive even at 76. JP Wendelken gets nooched, gets a little love, but nothing too crazy there. We'll keep an eye on him. I don't think gold is out of the realm of possibilities, but it's not there yet. Jose Alvarado gets a big boost. Now, he's somebody who's toyed with us and teased us in past years as well as teammate Diego Castillo, or former teammate, I should say, when they were both with the Rays, where they'd pitch as really strong silvers. It would look like they have a chance to go gold, and then something would happen. They wouldn't get gold on the week that we thought, and then they'd hit a skid. We'll see if that happens with Alvarado again this year. He does get a big 4-point boost. He's a long way from gold, but at least he's back on the radar now that he got this 4-point boost. Dylan Floro has quietly pitched very well the last couple years. He was with the Dodgers before the Marlins. He feels like a quintessential bronze silver type, though, somebody who lives in the 72 to 76 range. I don't know that gold is necessarily in his future on any in any realm unless the strikeouts go way up. Lucas Sims gets +1. He pitched really well last year. Even though he's not even silver yet, I actually like his gold potential more than Floro's for the long term. He battled a health issue in spring. He looks like he's right and ready to go, so I definitely see some interesting potential. Lucas Sims is very much on my watch list. Y'all know Johnny Lasagna is on my watch list. I love this move. This is going to make him a lot more viable for BR as well, getting these upgrades. He's got 50 stamina. He's been pitching out of his mind. He's one of the few Yankees who's doing well so far this year. Silver's definitely on the horizon. I think he could get silver next update if he continues to pitch well, and then we can talk about gold. But I've already got a bunch of Johnny Lasagna. I'm just going to hold those shares. Craig Stammen's been pretty nice this year. I could see him getting to silver, but that's his cap, because he's never really been a huge strikeout guy. He does have 10.5 strikeouts per 9 right now, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I don't really see gold potential for Stammen. He's also like 36 years old. Not that you can't get gold when you're old. It's just that we kind of know who he is, and Henry agrees. That's why he's barking. Winkler, what was the... Oh, he was SP for some reason. I never understood why they had done that. That was kind of annoying. But now he's back in the relief realm. Colomé went from CP to RP here. He and Taylor Rogers flipped. Yusmeiro Petit, Manuel Clase gets a big jump to +4. Comes up to 73 or 72. Definitely has silver upside, and yes, he also carries gold upside. I would put him with Lucas Sims firmly on my watch list. Somebody who can make big rise. The problem is the market's already there on Clase, so he's more difficult to invest in. I don't know where he stands right now after only going to bronze. We'll see if he tanks, but if the market's still hot on him, he's tough to invest in. So just keep an eye on his price. Kendall Graveman's been a revelation for the Mariners. He's pitched so well for them. And if he continues to pitch like this, we'll see silver in no time, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. I don't want to go too far with it. He got a big 9-point boost that he deserved, and we'll take it from here. John Curtis was a breakout reliever last year. He moved from common to bronze, and now he's moved further into the bronze tier, looking like last year wasn't a fluke. If he continues to pitch like this, I do think silver will come in due time. Little position change here. He goes from closer to reliever. Nothing really to see here. He gets Nooch for Andrew Chafin. Position change. Kyle Zimmer. He's somebody I do like. I think silver is probably the cap. I root for him, though, man. Injuries have really hampered his career throughout. But he was healthy last year. He's healthy so far this year. He's found himself a role as a quality middle reliever. I'm rooting for Zimmer. But for now, silver is his cap, so there's probably not a major investment opportunity. Genesis Cabrera has been incredible. So he gets a nice 3-point jump. Here's the key. Can he limit walks? If he can limit walks, then silver's definitely coming. And then we can talk about anything else going forward. He's got the talent to be really good. It's just a matter of putting the ball in the zone and limiting those walks. Lou Trevino, why didn't he move to CP? He's their closer right now, so that's a little bit surprising. It doesn't change anything. I'm just kind of surprised that they didn't do it because he's very clearly their closer right now. TJ Antone only gets +2, and I think they did him kind of dirty here. I got to say, this one does not make sense to me. And I love what they do over there. I almost always agree, and when I don't agree, or even if they don't do an upgrade that I had, I can usually see where they're coming from. This one, I just don't get. Why is he a 64 K9 when he had 11.5 strikeouts last year and he has 13.2 so far this year? That needs a big upgrade. It should probably be in the high 70s personally. So that would probably get him right on the cusp of silver, if not silver. And then it comes down to whether or not he can stifle the walks. The thing with TJ Antone, though, is if you watch him, you'll see that his walk rate does not come for a lack of command. He knows where his stuff is going. He's got nasty stuff. Some of it is that, so there's two things. Some of it is that his stuff is so nasty that it breaks and it goes a little bit haywire. But for the most part, he knows where it's going. He's just going to put the pitches where he wants. I talk about this a lot with different pitchers, about giving in or not. And what that means is when you're in a hitter's count, 3 balls, or even like a 2-0 count, you don't give in. You don't lay a pitch in there just to get a get-me-over strike across. Because a lot of times, those get-me-over strikes end up as get-fucked homers. And you don't want a lot of get-fucked homers. Those can be trouble. And what that, laying in like the 3-1 fastball that is like placed as opposed to thrown. You don't want that. He doesn't do that. He'll just attack the next guy. So he's going to throw a nasty slider on 3-1. If you don't flail at it, if you just straight take, fine. I'll go to the next guy. I'll strike him out. So my point in bringing that up is that I don't know that his walk rate's necessarily going to go way down. I think he is somebody who might still kind of live in the high 3s, low 4s with his walk rate, but he could still push silver for sure, because that K rate already needs to go up. I definitely see him as a silver, but he could push gold even with a little bit of an elevated walk rate, because if he continues to strike out guys at this clip, then his strikeout rate can push into the 80s and 90s if he's at 13 plus per 9. So just keep Antone. If you've already invested in him, just hold. If not, I would suggest getting in. He's a 71, so he should not be that expensive, and I'm in for the long haul. Here's another great thing about him. If something happens in their rotation where they need somebody, they can turn to Antone, because he's already been doing multi-inning relief stints. That's why he has a 69 stamina, which is very nice. So they could turn to him, and then if he's getting starts, that completely changes things, because then he can be SP, and that'll get him like 4 or 5 points, and then gold is very much in the picture. So you want to get in on Antone now before things really break through. I think he's bubbling under the surface, and I really like him for a long-term breakout this year. Cody Hoyer was really awesome last year. He's had a little struggle this year as far as his hits. As you can see, 17 hits and 12 1/3 is way too many. So he got nooched there. They gave him some love on his walk rate, but they had to crush him on his hit rate because it's been rough. I do think his strikeouts should go up too, but really silver's kind of the cap here, unless he just stops giving up hits altogether and really cuts down that hit rate. Caleb Smith actually lost points here because he moved from SP to RP, but he might work his way back to silver just as a reliever. He's been pitching very well out of the bullpen, so we'll see what happens. He's going to have to get the strikeouts up and probably figure out a way to trim the walks a little bit, but he's been doing well as a reliever. I'll give him credit where it's due. Anthony Bass just went from CP to RP. Nothing here, nothing really to see. Again, we'll go through and we'll find guys that we care about. -5. So going from SP to RP, like I said earlier, is about a 4 to 5 point move. We see here it's 5 for him. For somebody earlier, it was 4, so it's in that realm. Ponce de Leon moves on position change, and an upgrade, but the position change hurts more than the upgrade helps, so he still loses a couple points. AJ Minter goes down. Tyler Rogers gets a little love because of his hits, but he does not strike. If you've never seen Tyler Rogers pitch, he is Taylor Rogers' brother, but he's like a submariner, and so he's like a heavy ground ball, weak contact kind of guy. So I don't really see any upside for him as far as like investing, because he's not going to get strikeouts. It's just not going to be part of his thing. Nobody else here really that worth talking about. This is a disappointment for me, man. I really liked Cal Quantrill coming into the season. He's been bad. He's been flat out bad. Garrett Whitlock, here's somebody to talk about. He's been awesome out of the Red Sox bullpen. Their pitching has been a huge surprise. Nobody should be surprised that their offense is killing it. Like that was pretty obvious, to be honest. JD's back on track. Bogarts, Devers, Verdugo. They've got hitting aplenty. It's their pitching, which is why I never thought that they would be any good this year. And so far, it's been good. So I'll give credit where it's due. I'm still a little suspect on the long-term capability of their pitching, but Garrett Whitlock's been a big boost out of their bullpen here, and I actually see some potential for silver upside, because look at these stats. These stats right now, if this is all they went off of, they just said, we'll take 10.2 innings and we'll just give full credence to that, he'd already be a silver, but they can't do that. He's coming from a common. They have to kind of keep his trajectory in mind, but if he keeps pitching like this, he will be able to gain 10 more points over the course of the season. Position change here as he moves out of the rotation. He's going to be a hybrid guy. He'll get starts here and there, so he's going to fluctuate a bunch this year. Matt Moore, who cares? No offense to Matt Moore. Trevor Richards, Tariq Skubal, I mean, he's a 63, so who cares? There's not going to be much to really look at here. Chris Rodriguez is somebody I would keep a close eye on. He's been a big piece out of the Angels bullpen. You see the strikeouts look pretty good. Hit rate's pretty nice. Walk rate's a little rough. That's his biggest issue, and you can see that's already shown on the card here. Rodriguez could hit silver at some point this year. I mean, that's 12 points away. It's long term, but I could see that. Nobody else here, although Dolis. Who did Dolis piss off at SDS? Like, I know he's an older guy, and last year when he kind of, had some good numbers with Toronto, it was like, well, he's a 32-year-old journeyman. Is there anything to really put stock into? But, I mean, he did have 11.6 strikeouts per 9. He has 9.5 this year. I think 59 is too low. I am of the mind that Dolis should be a bronze, just based on last year and this year. That's only 35 innings, but, like, he's clearly better than the guy we saw all the way back in 2013, which was the last time he was in the majors. So I think they're doing him kind of dirty. Now, arguing over a common versus bronze is not something that we should put too much effort into, and I'm not going to, shake my fist at SDS, like, how dare you? But I do think that they're missing on this one. Nobody else here really jumping out. Fire Rising was somebody that some Brewers fans were talking about as an interesting reliever, and you can see his stats have been pretty good. Maybe he gets to bronze, but do we really care about that? Probably not. Nothing else here to really focus in on. Let's see who the new relievers are. Anybody of note? Nate Blones is back. I've never been good with Nate Jones cards. That's why I call him that. Even that diamond flashback that they had. My whip with that diamond flashback Nate Jones was over 2. It was unbelievable. All right, let's move over to closers. And there were no... Oh, wait, there's no new closers. I was going to say there are no upgrades? What do you mean? So Hader gets nooched. He loses 3 on his BB9, but it doesn't hurt him. Chapman gets nooched with a little love on his hit 9. Great. Make him harder to hit. Thanks. Thanks, SDS. Like it's their fault and not just his own performance. James Karinchak. Now this we have to talk about. So, talked about Karinchak when I went through the American League. And I mentioned that he needs a K9 boost, but he can't close the gap he can't close a 5-point gap to Diamond unless his BB9 is like 3.0 or better for about 2 months. So, as you can see, they already gave him some love on the walk rate that he has right now, because he only has 2 walks in 9 2/3. That's excellent. That's better than 3.0. That's actually 1.9. So he gave him a 12-point boost. He's going to need to maintain. He doesn't have to stay at 1.9. Like I said, I gave him some leeway. I think 3.0 or better for another month, because this would be 1 month. You know, we turn the calendar tomorrow. It's going to be May. Just ask Justin Timberlake. So another month like this could close that gap for Karinchak. But the walk rate is what you need to stay focused on. We know he's going to miss bats. We know he's going to be difficult to square up. But what I worry about is that, like, 3 walk outing. If he has one of those, it's going to set him back completely. It almost kind of, you know, it's like a go back to start, you know, or do not pass go, do not collect $200. Like, it can ruin everything. So we really need to avoid that one multi-walk outing. 2 walks in an outing won't be the end of the world, but the 3-4 walk outing, which he's been known to do, that's what would kill us here. So far this year, though, he's been awesome at limiting the walks. So let's keep a close eye on Karinchak. He could definitely get to diamond. I'm kind of eager to see what exactly will happen with his price based off of this jump. Ryan Presley gets +4. He's somebody that he's been so good that he just seems to kind of live in the 80 to 83 range. So I don't know if Diamond can really get there. I mean, he only has 1 walk in 11 innings. That's great. For me, I think what I said in his notes, let's see, I think I said something that his K rate would have to be just off the charts for a minute. Yeah, he could have a destined for Diamond run if he had a huge strikeout surge, because the control is already there and his BB9 already needs a boost. So the BB9 got the boost. It could probably use another one. In fact, I think his hits, Ks, and BB9 should all be above 80. But that wouldn't be enough to get him there, right? Even if they made that like an 84. So he can't get to Diamond without a giant strikeout jump or, you know, limiting walks for like a 6-week run, because he's allowing 1 per inning right now, which frankly, he's lucky he didn't get a hit 9 drop. They gave him a little leniency there to see like where he goes from here, but it's hard because he's really good, but he just doesn't seem to have the diamond skills. Hey, hats off to those who bought in on the Craig Kimbrell rebirth. And that includes my podcast co-host, Justin Mason. And frankly, I bullied him out of it on the podcast because I thought he was fucking insane for going in on him. He had him as like his 10th ranked closer. And I was like, what are you doing, dude? No, this is a terrible idea. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, if you look at it after like his first 4 outings last year, he was really strong. And I just feel like with closer being so crappy, I got him up here. And so he moved him down based on me, you know, kind of mercilessly making fun of him. But if you look, take off those first 4 outings last year, he had 12 2/3 with 26 strikeouts, 4 hits, and 7 walks. That was excellent. That was over the course of 14 outings. And then so far in 9 outings this year, he has, well, what you can see here, 10 innings, 15 strikeouts, 6 walks, because walks are always part of his game, but just 0 homers and only 1 hit. So he's been awesome. Can he get back to diamond? I don't think so, but there is a legitimate rebirth here that might bring him into the like 83 realm pretty soon, and then we really have to entertain it. So he's too volatile for me, especially with that walk rate. So I personally would not be going for it. But if somebody said that they had a handful of Kimbrells at base price, you know, something just over 1,000 stowed away, I wouldn't think it was crazy. Okay, that's the best I can do right now with Kimbrel. I'm softening my stance, but I'm still not fully in. Taylor Rogers gets a little love. He moves over to CP. That does not change his rating or anything. That +1 comes directly from this boost here. And he's very much like Ryan Presley. In fact, I might have said something very similar in my notes, because he needs 5 points to get there, and I'm just not sure where it comes from unless his strikeout rate completely pops off. Now, he hasn't walked a single batter this year, and his strikeout rate has been good, but I think he needs to be striking out like 12 per 9 plus, and keeping those walks limited. Now, he doesn't have to go 0 walks for the whole year. You can mix in a couple, but it's going to take a while. I wouldn't see this. I think Rogers, his best chance at Diamond would be the All-Star break. So that's quite a while from now. But we'll keep a close eye on him because his talent is there. He just might not have the raw skill, namely with the K9, to get all the way there. Kenley Jansen gets nooched because that BB9 comes way down, and then the hits and the Ks come down a little, and then the hits go up a little bit to counterbalance it. Why would he go from reliever to closer? He has 0 saves. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So it's like whatever. Okay, we're doing this again with Jake McGee. We did this last year because he had that renaissance with the Dodgers, and I had him for gold a couple different updates, and he never quite got there, but now he's picking up right where last year left off. I think the 78 is actually higher than he ever went last year. I think he peaked at 77. So now we're back in the hold for gold territory. He's pitching brilliantly. He looks like the Jake McGee from Tampa Bay. That's, you know, that card, or that era, Jake McGee has yielded a diamond card before. So while I don't necessarily think he's going to get to diamond, I do think gold is a possibility with Jake McGee, and I'm open to investing in a handful of Jake McGees. Big 5-point boost for Matt Barnes. He's been out of his mind. 25 strikeouts in 14 innings. Has to get him some love. Only 5 hits in that time as well. Even a little love on his walk rate, which has notoriously been problematic for him. Obviously, if he pitches like this, gold is very much on the horizon. You have to put him in the hold for gold realm, even though there is a little bit of nerves with him because I don't know if that walk rate is legitimate or not. I would be doing you all a disservice if I didn't point out that he's very much in the hold for gold realm. Oh, I see what they did here. So they didn't take Will Smith out of closer. They just brought in Chris Martin. And Chris Martin only has an inning and 2/3, so he's just getting back. So he could start to get some saves. Okay, so they're just going to have 2 CP guys, and that's fine. Whatever. Diego Castillo. I mentioned it with Alvarado. Are we going to do this again? Yeah, probably, and it's going to be a pain in the ass. I mean, if you want to start investing, I get it because his raw talent is nasty. His strikeout rates have been great in the past. He's already got 17 strikeouts in 12 1/3. You know the volatility, though. We've done it before, so I understand if you get in, just know the risk. Richard Rodriguez has been awesome for the Pirates. Gets a 4-point boost here. I wouldn't rule out a gold potential. Where it's really going to come from is that strikeout rate needs to continue. Obviously, the hits and the walks have been amazing. He only has 1 of each in 10 1/3. That's going to go up a little bit. But if he really wants to push a potential gold, he has to get that K rate up. So I think he has to start going over 9 per 9. And right now he's just under that. So keep an eye there for Richard Rodriguez. He does need 4 points, so it's going to take a lot. It will be a long-term situation if it is going to come to fruition. Position change. Wait, why would he get a position change when Chapman is very... Whatever. Again, it doesn't... When they move from RP to CP, nothing happens to their rating, so I don't care. They can make everyone a closer if they want. I don't care. Will Harris, whatever. Amir Garrett. Our boy Amir has been rough. I'm sure he would say himself that he has not been pitching the way he wants. So he takes a big hit here. We'll keep an eye on him if he turns it around, but right now, obviously nothing really to see. Position change for Stomont, and he gets nooched because he gets a little love on his hits, but loses on his Ks. He has not been striking out guys at the clip that we're normally used to with him, and that's all right. We'll keep a close eye on him, though. Melanson, here's the thing. He's a very good closer. He's an underrated closer because he does not have a big strikeout rate, and that lack of a big strikeout rate will prevent him from really going gold. I mean, he's 3 points from silver, so we got to get to silver before we even talk about gold. I'm not even sure he necessarily gets to silver because while he does have a strikeout per inning right now, it may not hold. He does not go for strikeouts. He's a weak contact ground ball kind of guy, so we'll see what happens with that. If you want to save for silver, go ahead, but it's not going to make you rich or anything. It's just for exchanges anyway. Bunch of position changes here. Nothing really to see. Alex Reyes, man, he can be nasty when he's on. His last outing was excellent, but a lot of his outings this year have been problematic with that ability, with his ability to put the ball where he wants. He just doesn't have it with any consistency, so nothing really to see here. Clay Holmes, whatever, and then Dick Lovelady, nothing there. All right, moving on to catcher. Real Muto gets +1. He's been great. He's the best catcher in baseball for a reason. Big boost for Buster Posey, gets +4. Diamond seems out of the realm, but I mean, if he plays like this, he'll get Diamond. I don't think he's going to maintain a 1079 OPS for the year. But, I mean, this is a former super duper star. So, if there is a rebirth here, and maybe it's, you know, I don't know. It's something like if he's like fully healthy and everything just feels great right now and he plays his ass off, we can entertain it. For now, I don't think you need to invest. I think we need to see another few weeks of elite performance. Then we can start to talk about it. Because the thing of it is, I don't think the price is ever going to go up to a level in the coming weeks. I'd say the next, 3 to 6 weeks. Unless he gets even better. If he plays at this level or below, I don't think he'll ever become cost prohibitive to where we have to jump in. I think we can confidently just keep him on the watch list and wait. Wilson Contreras gets a boost with a lot of movement here. 3 up, 3 down. He does get +1 from it. I don't really see Diamond in his future. This will be fixed, y'all. This was a flub. I reached out to SDS. We found 2 interesting flubs that were just inverted. It was just very clear that Sal Perez, and then when we get to first base, you'll see Freeman. They got drops against righties and gains against lefties in their contact that did not make any sense. Both of them have been dreadful against lefties this year while doing really well against righties. I reached out. Luis said they will be fixing those soon. So stay tuned. That's not what they're going to be. They're probably just going to be inverted. He'll probably get +18 contact against righties. Well, he'll get the 25 points back first and then add 18, and then he'll probably lose a shit ton against lefties. Same for Freeman. Bottom line is they'll probably still be neutral. They'll probably still stay where they are, but it will change. So stay tuned for that. And it may already have, since I haven't backed out since I started this. Yachty goes to gold. Good on him, but that's it. I mean, he's going to cap at gold. Vasquez started off hot, looking like maybe he was going to get back to gold very quickly. He's hit a cold patch, so obviously he gets nooched here with good reason. He is on hold for Gold Watch. It's going to either be, he would have to either get a ton of hits against lefties, or the most likely avenue would be a home run surge. If he pops 3 homers in a 2-week period, then he could get back to gold. Carson Kelly is very much now on the hold for gold train, y'all. He's playing out of his mind. Don't forget, Carson Kelly was a huge prospect. There were big expectations of him. Catchers take longer to develop. You hear that, Toronto fans? Relax on Alejandro Kirk. Catchers take longer to develop. Carson Kelly has been around for a while, and people have kind of moved on from him as a prospect. I mean, he's not a prospect anymore, but they've moved on from, expecting anything out of him. He's shown some flashes before, and he's off to an excellent start this year. There may be some realness here that eventually gets him to gold. Wilson Ramos was so strong in his power against righties that he was able to withstand 5 downgrades and still get a +1. That's really, really interesting. The bottom line is, unless he brings up that batting average, there's no chance for gold here. And he's so slow that it puts a burden on your batting average. Obviously, not everything. Your speed won't play into everything for base hits. Like, you can get plenty of base hits, easy singles that you go into, or doubles in the gap, whatever. But there's a few of those extra hits, and you see this with Pujols over the last few years. The shortstop can actually play like short left field and get some of those scorchers in the gap that might normally go for singles and throw them out at first still because he's so slow. This is Pujols I'm talking about. The same sort of thing can happen to Ramos at this point. He strikes the ball well, but he's going to have some hits taken away from him that most guys would not have taken away if they had even just mediocre speed. But he's just painfully slow, so I don't really see gold here. He's at silver. He's going to live at silver for most of the year, I believe. Couple big gains, couple big drops here. Gets +1 for Jacob Stallings. It is what it is. 3 up, 3 down for Perez. his batting average is so bad, and he's just such a bad contact guy that the only way he could really get to gold this year would either be a big batting average surge in a 2-week period. It would have to fall like perfectly within a roster update period, or power, which he has shown in the past. So I can't rule out gold, but I would not invest in Roberto Perez in any way, shape, or form. He's far too volatile with that batting average to put any of my stubs into him. Travis D'Arnaud, this might be a worthy buy low. Maybe not yet. Maybe we want to see that first little hint that he's going to get back on track. He's been abysmal this year, and that's why he lost 3 points. But we know his talent is there, and we might be able to parlay this hot streak into, or this cold streak into a potential investment. Again, not yet. He's a little bit lower on the watch list, but I'm not going to bury D'Arnaud. Yo, this is my boy here, Omar Narvaez. So he's had an interesting trajectory. So playing really well with the White Sox and Mariners, right? He goes to Milwaukee last year as Grandal's replacement. And the thing that a bunch of us said, so, you know, this was my take, this was other people's take, it was not that hard to see. It's like, okay, well, he's going to adequately replace Grandal's bat, but he's like one of the most dreadful catchers in the league that they're going to take a really big hit defensively. That's how I thought it was going to play out. Not that he was going to hit exactly like Grandal, but he's a pretty good bat. Well, the way it looks to me, and I have not seen an interview with him to confirm this or not, but it fits pretty well as far as the narrative goes. It seems like they gave him like the Milwaukee crash course on catching to figure out how to be a better catcher, better receiver, better thrower, all of it. Game caller, all of that stuff. And it took. Like, he was awesome defensively. He was impossibly bad at the dish. And I don't think that learning defense means you have to struggle offensively, but I do wonder if maybe he was so focused on getting better defensively that his offense kind of went by the wayside, and they probably said, hey, don't worry about that. You're making the strides catching-wise, and that's what we want to see. We'll get your hitting back on track down the line. And that's exactly what's happened. So again, that's a narrative that I've crafted. I don't know if that's exactly how it played out, but he improved greatly as a defensive catcher last year. Now his hitting is back on track with the defense still holding. I do see some gold potential here from Omar Narvaez down the line. It's going to come via power and or improvements against lefties. Now, so far this year, he's actually been good against lefties, but it's 10 plate appearances, so you can't put anything into it. They gave him a little 8-point boost in the contact against lefties because it only moved him to a 44. And so that's fine. That does not fundamentally change the card. If he maintains a 286 average, obviously that will go way up, but we need to see it first. And the bottom line is, he's in a bit of a platoon with Manny Pena, though, so he probably won't play that much against lefties. So the real avenue for gold is going to have to come with beating the hell out of righties. But I do think it is possible. So he's not high on my hold for gold list, but he's on it. And so if you want to start investing in some Omar Narvaez's, put him off to the side, get in for the long term. I do think he has the bat that could possibly get there now that his defense isn't terrible. Stop it. Tucker Barnhart finding his bat again. So I don't know if you guys know this or remember this, but he gave up switch hitting, I think 2 years ago. And it seems to finally be paying some dividends here as he's just focusing on having one swing, and he's been awesome. You know, there's really no denying that he's been fantastic this year. Now, I think he also platoons with Tyler Stevenson. Does he play against lefties? Let me see. Yeah, he essentially does not play against lefties. So he can get to silver just by virtue of either improving the vision and discipline or just hitting well against righties, but that's his cap, even with the great defensive catcher, because he doesn't play against lefties. He's a platoon player. Yermin gets a massive upgrade to +7. It's all well-deserved. This is a good foundation here. If he continues to hit, he'll obviously get silver. And then from there, I want to see where he's at on like Memorial Day before I really start talking about hold for gold, because he is so new on the scene that I just want to see how long this holds before we really put any of our subs. Plus, the market has been way too high on him to even confidently invest anyway. So you don't even have to worry about it until his price comes way, way, way down. La Tortuga, baby, gets a little love offensively because his numbers were down so much. I wonder, was he playing better and then he's hit the skids lately? Because these numbers certainly don't look like they're ripe for an upgrade. I'm kind of surprised that he even got one. I mean, here's the interesting thing. A 699 OPS is actually above average so far this year. It's a 103 OPS plus. So I guess, you know, he did get a little love because of that. But it looks like, I'm trying to find if he started off better this year. Oh, yeah, he was hitting very well for the first, like, week to 10 days and then smoothed out a little bit. So, yeah, maybe silver, but that's it. That would be his max. Mejia's interesting, y'all, okay? So you saw Zunino was on this list, too. That's kind of the two catchers that they're running in Tampa Bay. Mejia, for those of you that have played MLB The Show for a while, you'll remember back when he had that Cleveland Future Star diamond card that was really interesting. Switch hitter, could do a lot of things, could even play the outfield if you wanted to put him out there. He has plateaued quite a bit in the majors. His hitting from the minors has never really come to the majors. Last year, he barely played 42 plate appearances, and he was dreadful. The year before, he was about average, and a lot of us thought, well, maybe this is kind of the springboard to a breakout, and it really hasn't been there. Maybe we're finally starting to see that. What did I mention earlier? I forget who. Oh, with Carson Kelly. What did I say earlier? Catchers take longer. He's still only 25 years old. So I'm putting Mejia back on my radar. I had moved on from Mejia. Fantasy-wise, MLB The Show, didn't matter. I was just out. Strong performance here. I'm going to keep an eye on him. We could get to silver this year. Caratini's playing time is going to come way down now that Austin Nola is back. Not Aaron, not his brother. But now that Austin Nola is back, Caratini's going to go back to being a second catcher. And his offense came way down anyway. He started off hot and then really hit the skids. Here's a guy to keep a close eye on, Tyler Stevenson. He's kicking butt. Now, again, I don't want to contradict myself. I generally, for fantasy purposes, and by the way, I consider this a form of fantasy baseball, right? Keeping an eye on their stats, investing in them, and trying to make stubs off of it. It's just a different form of fantasy baseball. So I guess I shouldn't have to say that, pretend that it's fantasy baseball is separate from this because it's all in the same thing. But usually when I reference fantasy baseball, I'm talking about traditional, points leagues or roto leagues. So in traditional fantasy, I'm usually out on young catchers as a general rule, because they take longer to develop, as I've been saying. Like, it's a known thing. Catchers develop late, by and large. There are exceptions. I am open to Tyler Stevenson being an exception because his bat is so impressive. And his minor league track record earned him a lot of accolades as somebody who could be one of those catchers that maybe hits early in his MLB career. Now, this is a fast start based on 42 plate appearances, so I don't want to get too egregious with it. And he's still 7 points away from this, but I would not rule out a potential silver run this year, and we'll be going to be keeping a close eye on Tyler Stevenson to see how that performance goes. You saw Barnhart already on this list, so Barnhart is going to keep playing because he's doing well against righties. So Stevenson's going to be pinched for time. He's going to play against lefties and then mix in here and there against righties. So that's probably going to hurt him as far as making a silver run. But I want to acknowledge how good he's been this year and the fact that he is a premium prospect. Sandy Leon's the only new catcher. He returns to the game, and that's really all you need to know. Moving on to first base. Freddie Freeman. Again, that's going to be flipped. He's going to get gains against righties and lose against lefties. I don't know if it'll change anything or not. It'll probably still keep him at least +1. If anything, it'll move him up higher. It won't move him down. I can confidently say that because it wouldn't make any sense to do that. So that's where I'm at with him. And actually, let's just back out real quick and see. Let's just see. Let's just see if they've already done it, perhaps. No, not yet. Okay, so we'll keep an eye. But anyway, that's where Free Fizz right now. MVP, it skids a little bit off rip, loses his diamond. Let's be honest. There is no chance that, well, I don't want to say no chance. That goes a little bit too far. He probably wouldn't have gotten MVP if the season was 6 months, okay? He had a great 2-month run. I'm fine with him getting it because that was the season that we had. But, and I don't usually go for downgrades and like try to predict the downgrades, but if at the beginning of the season you had said pick some diamonds who could lose their diamond status, Abreu would have been high on my list. Not because I think he's bad. He's a very good player, but I think he's a quintessential gold. Like, he fits high gold perfectly. Matty O, he's on our destined for diamond train. I'm in on Matty O. You see his batting average is way up right now. He's had good batting averages in the past. Last year he hit like 195. That was uncharacteristic of him. He's on track this year, hitting brilliantly. I definitely see some Matt Olson diamond potential this year. I'm investing for diamond potential. Max Muncy, I love him. He got nooched. Now, he is somewhat similar to Olsen in terms of the raw power profile, but I've never really seen a batting average potential that I have seen from Olsen. So I don't see how Max Muncy could finagle his way to diamond, even though he's a great player. The power's awesome. He's legit. Even though he's only slugging 397 so far this year, I'm not worried about him in the slightest. So if anybody in your fantasy league is worried because he's hitting 231 with a 397 slug, I would buy 100%. Goldie comes down. He's struggling, so he's got to come down, plain and simple. Now, did they update the pitching on Anthony Rizzo? That's the important part. And if they didn't, then they need to fix their game. It's a broken piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding. But he did pitch and strike out Frederick. Oh, and I guess I'll talk about his long term. Like, he hasn't been that great this year, but if he hits a big hot streak, obviously he'll become a diamond discussion. Let's let him get hot first. I'm not there. I'm not ready to invest yet on spec. So I'll keep an eye on Rizzo, but I'm not making the jump before his stats merit. I would rather have to pay a little bit more getting in when he's actually playing well than buying in now and just kind of waiting. Gurriel gets a healthy jump. He's been on fire this year, getting that power back. He had a power outage last year. His average is really good, and he gets +3 to 82. As far as diamond goes, the only way he would get to diamond is if he brought back the 2019 power when he hit like 35 homers or something freaking insane like that, and we're way far away from that right now. Rhys Hoskins gets the +1 to gold. BR players hate this, but investors love it. As you can see here, power was what drove him there because he was 3 up, 3 down, but it was still enough to get the +1 because he's been hitting well against lefties apparently. Actually, I don't know his batting average. I wonder if this is one. I'm going to check this one real quick just because it could be similar to the Freeman and Sal Perez ones. I just want to make sure that it's not. Okay, no, this is correct. He's been terrible against righties and great against lefties batting average-wise, and so that's where he's at. Joey Votto comes down 1, unfortunately. So he's been attacking and having a bit of power resurgence, but he has not been doing anything else. So we'll see. There is a new Joey Votto out there, though, a new Diamond Joey Votto. So if you love Votto like I do and you really want to use a good version, go get that 92. This is one of my biggest hold for golds from the beginning of the season. I'm not going anywhere. We got 3 points. He keeps playing like this. He'll be gold in 2 weeks. Book it. Jesus Aguilar, yo, this is my guy right here. I'll tell you why, because in the fantasy market this year, he was so underrated. I know first base can get a little bit deep, like there's a lot of good players there, but you need at least, well, you don't need, but you can have at least 2 on most rosters because most fantasy rosters use a CI position, which is corner infielder, which can be first or third. A lot of times those are first baseman because it's a deeper pool for hitters. And also there's a utility spot, and a lot of those end up being first baseman, again, because it's a deep pool. Nobody was in on Jesus Aguilar this year. And I was like, well, he kind of got back on track when he was traded to Tampa Bay, and he was fine last year with Miami. So, yeah, since getting to Florida these last 2 years, he's been back on track. Now, he did go for 5 homers in like his last 6 or 7 games. So there's been a big power surge here that has been confined to the last week. But the bottom line is, I think that Jesus Aguilar can absolutely get to gold this year, and it's not even going to take anything too crazy. Obviously, if he continues this level, he'll get there easily. But even if he comes down from this a little bit, I think if he maintains mid 800s OPS, that he can get there. Hosmer only gets a +1. Ah, darn. Oh, nuts. I was really hoping that Eric Hosmer would get to gold. I predicted Eric Hosmer to gold and he didn't get there, but I don't care. I don't like Eric Hosmer. Mancini gets nooched, 3 up, 3 down. He's been struggling a little bit. Just wait till the summer hits in Baltimore. Summer in Camden, I could hit a home run. So Trey Mancini is going to hit plenty. And I guarantee, as long as he stays healthy, there'll be some point this year where Mancini's on gold watch. I feel very confident in that. I'll put one more caveat in there. Assuming that he is healthy, he is returning from colon cancer, so I give him a lot of leeway. If he happens to be kind of mediocre this year and then gets back on track completely next year, I would not even bat an eye at that. That would make total sense. My man, again, recovered from colon surgery. The fact that he's even playing is fucking awesome. So I'm hoping that he breaks out again this year, but, I'm not going to be, trashing him if he doesn't. Brandon Belt loses 2 points. He's starting to turn it around a little bit, though. I am going to keep an eye on him, not necessarily for a big gold surge, but we'll see. He was awesome last year. If he can get back on that track, then I think he can get the gold. But right now, we're quite a ways away. Zimmerman's a bench bat who's platooning. We're not really seeing much there. Colin Moran is a platoon guy. Ryan McMahon gets +4. He's been kind of interesting this year. Obviously, he's got that amazing diamond tops now. If you do not have that card, go get it. He can get to silver. Obviously, he's only 1 point away. As far as gold goes, though, I think he would need to hit for average, and he's never shown that he can consistently hit for average. So I don't really have him on the gold radar right now. Nate Lowe goes 4 up, 2 down, so he gets a nice 4-point boost. He's been killing righties. Definitely in the silver potential here. And we'll kind of take it from there. As far as getting gold, you see he lost points against both sides, contact and power, I should say, not both sides, in both categories, contact and power against lefties. That's his bugaboo. He's a bit of a platoon guy. If he doesn't hit lefties, I don't really see how he gets to gold. Let's get to silver first before we worry about it. But if you're somebody who tries to get in early, I don't think Nate Lowe is the play right now. Josh Naylor gets nooched. I actually kind of had him for a deep league breakout potential here. And I thought it could come from his power. So, of course, he has 0 homers so far. So, hey, sick call, Paul. Well done. So, we'll see what happens there. I'm not investing in him or anything. I'm still keeping an eye on him, though. Ryan Mountcastle was amazing last year as a rookie. I think he had a similar amount of plate appearances. Let me take a quick look real quick. Because if he did, then it will really show you. Okay, he had 140 last year, so about 50 more than he has so far this year. But this shows you the volatility of small samples, right? In 140 plate appearances, he put up an 878 OPS. And it's triple digits, right? 140 plate appearances. It feels significant. And I don't want to say insignificant's the wrong word, but it is still a remarkably volatile small sample. And we're seeing that this year. In 92 plate appearances, he has a 493 OPS. So look at how much he's changed. Now this is 488. This has to be without yesterday in it, I would imagine, which is because I'm looking at an updated website, and this is probably when they put in the roster lock. The bottom line is, we never should have been overrating him based on 2020's 140 plate appearances. We should not underrate him based on 92 plate appearances so far this year. You add it all up together, he's been a league average hitter for 232 plate appearances. He's okay. He could get back to silver, but I don't really see too much from there. Nobody cares what his ratings are. He'll always be drafted in BR because he's a god. Yandeezy, struggling. He's getting on base a lot, but that's really it. Bobby Dahlbeck gets nooched. Oh, look at that. They boosted his arm very nicely, though. Yo, Seth Brown's been playing pretty nicely for Oakland here. Playing time is the issue, though. So as far as even getting to silver, like I think he has the raw skills to get there, but can he get the full playing time to put up the volume? That's the question that I just really, I don't know right now. And injuries happen, so maybe it will happen, but I don't know. I don't think so yet. No new first baseman. Second base, Whit Merrifield, nooched. Albies, down 1. He's been struggling. Altuve, nooched. Belau, down 2. He's been really rough. He did hit a homer yesterday. Maybe that's going to unlock something for him. I will say, though, as much as I love him, and I love his cards in MLB The Show, and I even liked him for fantasy this year, I still wasn't seeking him out as my main second baseman because I was concerned about that strikeout rate. That was my biggest issue with Brandon Lowe, was can he tame the strikeouts and actually keep that batting average up? Because last year he was able to put up a 269 average despite a pretty gaudy strikeout rate. He was at a 26% rate, so that's starting to trend pretty high. So we'll keep an eye on Lau, but there's really no diamond potential anyway. At least I didn't think so. So I don't know. He is what he is. I thought maybe Frazier could be their first gold on the year. He ends up going to 79, which is where I actually, that was the prediction I had for him. I said maybe he's their first gold. If he keeps playing like this, he will get to gold. But do we really want to invest? I mean, he has no power. That's the thing. So you're putting it all on batting average. So even though he's only 1 point away, and I do believe that he can get there, I still wouldn't invest that high because it's volatile. Batting average is volatile. Kike gets +1. He actually hasn't been that good. 661 OPS is quite bad, but I guess he's hitting better against righties this year, so he gets a little love there, and he outruns the 3 downgrades that he gets. I don't really see gold here unless he completely turns it around. Yo, Joey Wendell's been on fire this year. He gets +2 because he's been tearing the cover off the ball against righties. Now, the question is, can he hit against lefties enough to maybe push gold? He's shown aptitude for batting average against righties and lefties over his career. So this is probably one of the weirdest ones that I would say. I never would have thought that Joey Wendell would be on a hold for gold, but he's at least a fringe hold for gold. Now, this year, here's the thing. Listen to how volatile he's been against lefties with his batting average. 333, this is by year. 2016, 333. 2017, he wasn't in the majors, I guess, or didn't hit any lefties because he has no stats. 2018, 299. 2019, 130. Last year, 294. So far this year, 143. So it's very volatile against lefties for him. If he can spike a big run and it happens to coincide with an upgrade period, maybe we get our gold that way. But he has to turn around the 143 first. So it's a long way off. It's a fringe hold for gold. But I didn't even coming in as a 76, only 4 points away, I would have put him so low on potential gold candidates this year just because he doesn't really hit for power either. And yet he's already got 3 homers despite having 4 all of last year. So, you know, don't invest too heavily here, if at all. Oof, Glaber comes down. I will say this only makes him more appetizing for BR, though, because now that he's a silver, he'll be easier to draft, and his card always crushes. Cesar Hernandez gets nooched. Scope goes down. Scope's power starting to come up, though, a little bit. You see it looks terrible here, and I understand why he loses 2 points. But he's got his homers in his last couple games, I believe. And so if he starts turning that around, he'll push back up. I don't know if he'll push to gold, but he'll be better than this. Hot take. He'll be better than a 468 OPS. Chris Taylor gets nooched. He is performing well, but as you can see, it looks like he's killing lefties, struggling against righties, striking out too much, but walking a lot. So it's one up, one down, one up, one down type of deal. Could he get gold? It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but I would not invest for it. Hey, Timmy Lowe gets up to silver. Foolish Baseball is very happy. This is his peak, though. Silver is his peak. He could maybe move within silver, but I really don't see gold because he has no power to speak of. So it would all have to come from batting average. Nick Solak with 2 points into the silver tier. He is on the hold for gold realm now. 5 points away. So buckle up. It's going to take a while. All-star break type of deal. But I really love Nick Solak. He was one of my breakout picks coming into the year. So I do like him to continue to move forward. Nick Madrigal did get a Tops Now gold today. He's probably, he's like a better Low Castro. He's not quite as fast, of course, but in terms of the hitting profile, tons of contact, no power, never strikes out, doesn't really walk that much though either. I think silver is his cap as well. Silver is his cap. I mean, he didn't even get to silver yet, but silver is his cap as well. Same sort of reasons. Starlin Castro, Washington's offense. God, they need Soto back so badly. Josh Harrison, killing it to start the season. They give him +1. Give him a little love for it because he's not going to maintain. He's already come way down. I mean, he was hitting like 580 for a minute there, which, of course, was never going to hold. But I think he's actually in a little bit of a skid right now as regression hits Josh Harrison. And he hasn't even been going hitless all that much, but he's getting like 1 hit a game. So in the last week, he's gone down from 429 to 314. I mean, that's just the way batting average is going to work on a run like that. Nooched. By the way, I do not buy in. I mean, it's not even been that good. He's hit a few homers. I don't buy in that at all. He's been rough. Kevin Biggio's been really rough. He gets -1 here. He will be better than this. I feel pretty confident in saying that. And he may get back up over silver, but that's really it for him. Only 3 points here for Lowry. How many did I have him going for? I think I had him a little bit higher. Let me find my upgrade sheet. For Lowry, I had him at... I only had him 1 more point. I had him at a 73. So this isn't bad. Here's the thing. We know who Jed Lowry is. And often when he's with Oakland, he's very good. And he's smoothed out a little bit from his fast start as well, which again is expected. But if he stays healthy, which is the biggest if, health has been a huge plague on his career. But if he can stay healthy, he can get to silver. But that's the highest I can go right now. There's long-term gold that could maybe come through, but it's so volatile that I wouldn't even invest in it right now. Garrett Hampson gets +1. Cool. We know B. Millie's good for a hot run. I wish that they would have given him a Tops Now, though, because he's good for like 1 big run every year, and they usually give him like a Player of the Month or a Tops Now to give us a specialty card because they know how much Brad Miller crushes in MLB The Show. So he gets nooched here. I wish he'd have gotten, even if it was just a gold, I wish he'd have gotten a Tops Now. That would have been dope. Sam Haggerty, where's Malk? He's got to be loving this. Haggerty out of his mind right now, gets an 8-point boost, and it's well-deserved because he's having a little bit of a power surge for him. He's not a huge power guy. Sorry, itchy nose. So even 2 home runs is a pretty big deal for him. He gets some love. I would say low 70s is his peak right now, unless we really see some sort of power spike that we need to pay attention to. But right now, we do not. Keston Hiura loses 4. He's been abysmal, but I did learn that his mom is in poor health right now, and that's probably consuming a lot of what's on his mind. And you don't always know what's going on in the everyday lives of folks. Sometimes when they're having struggles, it's not that they've lost their skills, it's that they're having a hard time really compartmentalizing and staying focused on baseball when something's happening in their family life. And who can really begrudge them that, right? He's showing up, he's doing the best that he can, but shutting that off is like impossible, dude. So I hope his mom gets well and everything, and I'm not gonna sit here and chastise him for a down performance when something like that's happening in his life. Zach McKinstry, unfortunately, hit the IL with an oblique strain. Oblique strains fucking suck, dude, because they can last forever. Even when you come back, they can still be lingering. This could really stifle what was looking like a really interesting breakout season. Of course, they give him love for what he's done so far, but now he's on the IL, and it could be a while. So I'm really bummed out by this because it was a fun breakout there for the Dodgers. Not that they needed another out-of-nowhere breakout, those effers. God, they're so insane. No new second baseman will go to third base. We'll just show that Sheldon Noisy, another guy who might be a random breakout for them. Now, he hasn't been that good, but I wouldn't even be surprised if he ended up being something for them. They got him from Oakland, and I was surprised Oakland gave up on him, to be quite honest. Anyway, third baseman with upgrades and downgrades here. We got three of the studs downgraded off rip. Arenado, he's been okay, so they take -1. Rendon's been rough. They take -1 from him. I'm not worried about either, by the way. I'm not even worried about Chapman, who has been really rough and gets -2, loses his diamond. If anything, this is great for collections. If you don't have Chapman yet, wait till his price comes all the way down, because it's going to go way, way down. And then you can finish your Oakland collection. And listen, he's not going to be this bad all year, I don't believe. And the fact that he still has 4 homers, his defense looks good. I don't think that this is related to the hip issues, personally. We'll keep an eye. And, if something happens to show us that he's still hurt, then maybe we'll worry about it. But I do not attribute this to the health right now, because I've not seen anything that suggests that it's related to the health. If anybody has, then by all means, you can send me the article or whatever. But I think he's completely fine. And I got to be honest, once his price bottoms out, and you should wait the weekend for this, by the way, like let everyone come in and freak out and sell. I'm going to put some aside for Diamond, for the return to Diamond. I'm going to be committed to holding him for the long haul, but I'm going to buy some Chapmans probably under 2K. I think his price will freaking tank. And again, if it doesn't tank this weekend, then I'll wait longer. I'm just going to keep an eye on his price, monitor his price day to day. Once it gets under 2K, I'm going to put 5, 6, 7 off to the side and just wait. Speaking of waiting, Justin Turner, I know some of y'all thought maybe he'd go even higher than this. +1 does feel a little light. I got to be honest. Where did I have him going? I had him going, Jay Turner, to 84. Yeah, I thought he was really going to go right on the cusp. I didn't quite think that he would go all the way to Diamond, because that's a 4-point boost. But he is a former Diamond, which, as I've told you guys before, I believe that being previously hitting the level that you're chasing does help, because they don't have to question the talent as much. Henry's got the zoomies. If you can see him in the back, he's going to start pissing off Charlotte quite a bit, because he's just sprinting back and forth, and she gets so annoyed by it. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, just hold tight if you got Justin Turner. A lot of people are going to sell, y'all. We're going to swoop in, and we're going to pick up those shares, and we're just going to relax, because if he plays like this for another 2 weeks, I think he'll get the +3 to Diamond. But he has to play this high, let me be clear, that's a big ask. That is unlikely to happen. That said, even if he doesn't play that well and get Diamond in 2 weeks, I think for the long term, Justin Turner is still a great Diamond potential investment. Rafael Devers gets +1. He's got the bat to be a potential Diamond. It's just going to take a while, because he's coming all the way from 80, and his defense doesn't do him any favors. I did not just mute my mic to yell at Henry. I swear to God. Why would I do that? That seems crazy. He's just doing wind sprints. He's so cute. Gio Urshela gets -1, gets a little love on the power, and then a couple dips there. Yankees are a mess right now. Here's the thing, guys. When, not if, when the Yankees inevitably take off and just start decimating the league for like a 3-week stretch, get in on some of these guys here. Urshela, maybe not the best candidate, because Diamond might be pretty tough unless he just has a huge power surge. But getting back on Glaber, Stanton going to Diamond, and there's other guys too. I'm just not thinking of all of them off the top of my head. They're going to turn it around, guys. I just don't see a world where their offense is completely inept for the whole year. So Urshela as a Diamond candidate is pretty far out there, because he needs 4 points now. But if in the midst of the Yankee demolition, he's hitting like a homer every other day and just going crazy type of deal, not literally every other day, because that would be an insane rate. But you know what I mean? If he packs on like 5 homers in a 10-day span, I guess that would be every other day. You know what I mean, okay? I'm going in circles here, but you know what I mean. If the power takes off for Urshela, he could get Diamond. Otherwise, he probably maxes out at 83, 84. KB has been great. He gets +1. Can he get back to Diamond? Sure. It would take more continued power excellence. You see here that he did get love in both of his power categories. He's going to have to continue to hit for that power, and he is still 4 points away, so we're still probably talking about 2 to 3 updates until he would get there, unless he just hits a stratospheric level. One of the bigger upgrades that we were all expecting, even though it was 5 points, this one felt like a damn near lock, because few players are playing better than Vlad Guerrero Jr. right now, and we've been waiting on him for this for a while. That does play a role, though, by the way. Like, if there's an expectation on a prospect and we just haven't quite seen that, I think that they move quicker when they do start to show. It's like, oh, this is what we were waiting for. Here it is. There's a lot of viability in what he's doing. Nothing out of his profile looks like it's fraudulent. So I think Guerrero, you know, he has a chance to be diamond by the end of the year. It's going to take a while because he's a brand new gold and he's still 5 points away. But if he keeps hitting like this or damn near like this, then I think he's going to slowly work his way up. Like, if he's still toting over a 1000 OPS for the next update, then I think he gets like a 2-point upgrade. And then if another update, so that'd be a month away, then I think he would get another point or 2. And then he'll sit at 84 for a little bit. And then maybe by the All-Star break, we could have Vlad at a diamond. Eduardo Escobar. Now, I thought he could get there. I thought he could get to gold here. I think I had him. Did I have him at 79 or gold? Let me see. I had him at 79. Okay, so I did hit it because of the average. Yeah, I said average is low, but how is he this cheap with an MLB high 7 homers, major hold for gold? So he gets the 1 point. He does lose a little bit of that average against righties. That was what I was worried about. But he gets good gains everywhere else except for the vision. If he keeps playing like this, he'll be gold. Plain and simple. So he's an easy hold for gold for me. Now, here is somebody that I'm going to wait for the price to bottom out on, even more so than the Chapman one I'm talking about, for a couple reasons. One, this one's going to be much cheaper because he's a silver, so he's going to bottom out to a much more affordable level. And for two, I'm not out on Eugenio Suarez. He can have these cold streaks. Am I crazy, or did he not? Did he not start like this last year? And then he popped off. He had the 3-homer game and everything. Let me check my work on that real quick. But I think he started off horribly last year too. Yeah, he was abysmal. 14 games in, he had a 489 OPS. 24 games in, 560. He didn't break 200 batting average until 39 games in. So we've seen this before. And then what happened? He rebounded last year, and the only thing that stopped him from like going way high in 20 was the fact that the season ended. So I have all the confidence that Suarez will come back. Just wait for the price to bottom out. BA loses one. I get it. He's on the IL right now. I think it's also an oblique for him. That's a huge bummer. You guys know he's one of my favorites. I had him for gold a couple times last year. He was always like right there, and they never quite got him to gold, unfortunately. Right? He never hit gold last year, did he? I know he flirted with it a bunch. And he won't obviously get anywhere near there until he gets back healthy and starts performing. JD Davis has been out of his gourd, and this is just going to make his card better. He plays very well in Battle Royale or events, depending on if you need silver hitters. I like JD Davis a lot. As far as gold potential, I don't really see it. At least not yet, because the defense holds him back, so it all has to come from his hitting. So we don't have to worry about investing right now. A Nooch move for Moncada. Again, if you're just getting here, Nooch just means neutral. It's just a stupid way to say that, and I like to do stupid things like that. Nooch for Longoria. This one's kind of surprising because I thought he would actually get some gains. Now, I will say this one is on me for not going into his splits a little bit more. I had him going from 76 to 78, but he got nooched because of how imbalanced he's been. And I didn't check. I just kind of looked at his bottom line numbers, and that's my fault. I didn't see that he had such an uneven split. He has been impossibly bad against righties. 190 average, 506 OPS, 579 average, 2019 OPS against lefties, with all 4 of his homers coming against lefties. So that's pretty insane. He's not going to go gold if he doesn't improve against righties, plain and simple. Bomer gets hit because he's been underperforming, of course. Same with Candelario. We'll talk about them down the line. They have to start performing before they hit my radar again. Austin Riley has been hitting well for average in OBP, interestingly enough, his power's been a little light. A 452 slug is not awful, but when you have a 301 average, so it's a 151 ISO, that's not so good for Riley. You need 200 plus. Ty France gets a nice move here. He's been awesome. He got that gold tops now. He's setting up for a potential silver, and I would not rule out a run at gold at some point this year. I like Ty France. I believe in his bat quite a bit. Pablo gets the love for those homers that he's got. He's got 1224 OPS. Got to give him some love. Jonathan India's been struggling. He could be sent out if he doesn't turn it around pretty soon, y'all. Plain and simple. Christian Arroyo has been another part of the Boston offense. This has been an unexpectedly good part. He's been killing it, 291 average, as you can see there. So he gets some big love in his batting average, and, you know, whatever. I don't really see anything beyond that. And I mentioned Sheldon Noisy was the only new third baseman. Moving on to shortstop. This is going to be like a 9-hour video, isn't it? Fernando Tatis goes up 1. He's a god. He'll be at 90 sooner than later, I'm sure. Seager goes -1. And I bet that this was a surprise to a lot of folks. In fact, his price tanked. So if you didn't have Seager yet, now he's much more affordable. When I started this, he was at like 12,000. And apparently he'd been tracking like 35,000. So he went down big time. I'm trying to pull up his numbers real quick, because again, I think this is going to be a shock to folks, because he started off so hot that everyone's like, well, wait, how did he even get declined? Maybe he didn't get a big upgrade, but what do you mean he's down? So he had a 1011 OPS 13 games into the season, but over his last 11 games, he has a 589. So he's really come back to earth with a little bit of a cold streak. Still very good. Still deserves his diamond, of course. But a surprising dip for folks that maybe were only paying somewhat attention to him. And like, oh, Corey Seager's having a great year. Like, you just kind of have that in your mind because you remember the early part of the season. And obviously, it's all early part of the season, right? Because it's only a month. But if you break it up into like the first 2 weeks and the second 2 weeks, he was great, and then he's been rough. Trey Turner goes to diamond. This was very much expected. The market was there with his price. His performance said that this was like a lock, so nothing really to see there. Lindor is in danger of losing diamond if he does not perform well in the next 2 weeks. That is for sure. Bogarts gets +1. This is kind of what I thought. You know, he's setting up for a potential diamond. He's been diamond before. If you're not invested yet, you should probably get on board, because there's a strong chance that he goes diamond at some point in the next few weeks. Baez comes down 1. He's been struggling. He's been turning it around a little bit. The Cubs offense has shown some fight here and there in recent weeks. I believe they had a big performance yesterday. Yeah, they won 9-3. So they've been up and down. You know, he's getting back on track somewhat, but I understand why this decline had to happen, because his strikeout rate is absolutely through the roof. Bichette gets nooched. Segura, one of our big gold predictions, gets +2 there. This was kind of a slam dunk one. He's been awesome, by the way. Look at that. Look at those numbers. 339 average. Very, very good. Jose Iglesias. Now, he gets nooched, and he can get back to gold. He finished there last year, if you recall. He hit very well with Baltimore. Batting average is going to be the driving force, right? We know that. That one's obvious. That's been the case with Iglesias for his entire career. Charlotte's pissed because she recommended Jose Iglesias for gold on her website, which that's why you shouldn't subscribe to her website. Plus, her website's $40 a day. So if you're paying Charlotte that, what are you doing with your life, you know? The way she's looking at me like, what are you saying about my website? What are you saying? Look at this psychopath. Look at that dweeb. What an absolute dweeb. Anyway, moving on. Paul DeJong gets -1. Did get a tops now, though, for recent performance. So that's good. Overall, his season's been rough, but tops now is based on certain moments, right? So you can have a great moment in the midst of a rough season and still get a nice diamond card to counterbalance the fact that you're playing like shit overall.
Kiner for Left has actually been playing quite well. Unfortunately, I have to hear about it every time he does something because I roasted him on a podcast because like he qualifies at catcher at Yahoo leagues, and I was like, I don't care because he's not that good. So of course, he already has 3 homers and 4 steals, and I look like an asshole. Whatever. Marcus Semien -2. He's been struggling. That Toronto offense, they certainly have not been bad as a whole, but it hasn't all been going in the right direction at once. Springer just got back. That's huge for them. We're going to see how it goes. I would wait till Simeon's price bottoms out, and I would reinvest for gold here for sure. Dansby Swanson was awesome last year. I was excited about him coming into this year. He's down 1 because he's been dreadful, plain and simple. So we can monitor him for the long term, but otherwise, I would, if you invested, kind of getting in on the ground floor for this year for gold, you can hold. Like, it's only a month, so I'm not saying you should get out, but he's got a long way to go now because he's now 4 points away, and he has to erase all this crap before he can even start to talk about getting the 4 points in question. Oh wow, I didn't even realize Semien had 7 steals. So in fantasy, nobody's really that upset with Semien because the 213 average sucks, but 5 homers and 7 steals. If you have him in fantasy, you're fine with that. You'll take the batting average and because we're confident he'll figure it out, right? But I didn't even realize he had 7 steals. I only got him in 1 league, and if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't check the standings every single day of like meticulously seeing how everyone's doing. I know where I'm at in my leagues, but I don't start. Like, I don't make any moves to try to move up in one particular category the first month of the season. I pick up players who can help, generally speaking. I don't care if I have 3 closers and they're doing well right now. Closers are volatile. So if a closer comes into the league, I will still bid on them, at least somewhat, And so Semien's got 7 steals for me in the 1 league where I have him. Great. I would still bid on somebody who has stolen base upside. Adames, man, my dude, I really like this guy, but he is so lost. This is carrying over from the playoffs. If he plays like this, or even has like a 600 or below OPS for the next 2 weeks, then he's going to go to bronze. Polanco drops to bronze because he's been dreadful. Nicky Lopez gets some love, +2. He could go to silver, but I'm not really that keen on him, so whatever. Elvis Andrus, big hit. He's been V-bad. Willie Castro's been struggling, unfortunately. I was excited for him as a Tigers fan. He's been really bad, plain and simple. Nooched for Crawford, little love there in his power and his contact versus righty, but then 3 hits to contact versus lefty, vision and discipline. Jazz, this one breaks my heart, man. We love the +7. It's well deserved. And he was setting up for an easy silver soon. And then we could talk gold. He gets hurt. He freaking gets hurt right in the midst of the big breakout. So let's wait till he gets back from the IL before we worry about anything as far as investing. We'll keep a close eye on him. Very exciting young player. I hope that the injury is not long term. J.P. Crawford nooched. Nick Maton, good for you. A lot of new shortstops. Holy moly. Ha-Seong Kim comes in as a silver. This is due in large part to the speed and defense. His hitting is whatever. Playing time's an issue right now. So even though he has the raw skills, like the power and speed, the defense, to get to gold if he had like a full-time role, that is nowhere in sight right now. So, it's going to be expensive because it's a brand new card to start. But even when everyone starts to get his card and his price comes down, I still wouldn't invest until he has something close to a full-time role. Nobody else here I'm really looking at as somebody you got to know a whole lot about. If they change that, if they start to play better or play well or something, we'll address it. All right, left field. Soto, nooched. Now, he's been good, but he hasn't played the whole time either. So I think it's fine that he got nooched here. I think he'll be 90 plus. Like once he returns and gets back to being Juan Soto, he'll be 90 plus before we know it. JD gets 2 points and he sets up the questions now. Can he get diamond? Can he get diamond? Will he get diamond? Is he gonna go to diamond? What's he gonna do? We know what he has to do, right? It's laid out right there. He has to earn those points back against lefties, but he has to continue to hit righties. He basically matches Nelson Cruz now. The last few years, Nelson Cruz has been sky high against lefties and still very, 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 very good against righties, but that was his obvious weakness, if you had to label him with a weakness. Well, that's where Martinez is right now. He's been great against righties so far this year. He needs to maintain that and get back on track against lefties, and he could possibly get diamond. The problem is it all has to come from his hitting because the defense isn't very good. I say that, though, and I will point out that the last time he did go diamond, they sprinkled a little defensive love onto his card to get him there. The only reason I don't think they'll do that, though, is because he truly is not playing the field anymore. When they did that, he was at least going out there and playing the field here and there, like with enough regularity to where it was fine. Because I think they took him from like 44 to 51 or something. It was enough to get him to diamond, but it didn't fundamentally change the card. So I didn't really have a problem with it. If they did it now, though, they would kind of be... It'd be a little suspect. Okay, he is playing left field a little bit more. He has 5 games there. So, I don't know. It's possible. If you believe in him for diamond, get it. I think it's certainly possible that he could go there this year. He's such a transcendent hitter that you have to entertain it. I'm in on Nelson Cruz. If I'm in on Nelson Cruz, you pretty much have to be in on JD Martinez because they're basically one and the same. So I'll probably get some JD Martinez shares, especially because I think his price will go down, at least initially today on Friday, because those that thought he could get the 4 points to diamond are going to be very disappointed and they're going to sell out of their shares. Giancarlo goes down 1. I mentioned earlier when they inevitably turn it on and go crazy, he'll probably be a big part of it, hitting home runs every damn day. So if you want to invest in him for diamond now, that's not a terrible idea. Michael Brantley, I talked about him. Diamond is going to be very, 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 very hard. He is a quintessential high gold. Marcel loses a little bit of love here with all of his categories taking a hit except for discipline. I think he'll gain some of these back over the course of the year, but I don't think he'll go diamond at any point. Jesse Winker, I thought he would at least get on the cusp. I mean, 78 is on the cusp. What I mean when I say that is I thought he would at least get to 79. I thought he would get there. Where did I have him? Where's my Jesse Winker? Oh, actually, no, I had him at 79. I nailed it. I didn't nail it. He was 78, but I didn't have him as gold yet. Because I thought 5 or 4 points. I thought that was going to be a little aggressive for the run that he's on, but he's very much right there. So let's see where his price goes. If people bail out because they're mad that he didn't get it week 1, we swoop in and we take those shares. David Peralta, here's the thing: he lost against righties, and that's usually who he kills. So there's a clear path to getting to gold here, and that's if he gets back on track against righties. Easy peasy. So if you want to invest in David Peralta, I totally get it. -2 for Pham. He's been rough. This one breaks my heart, man. He's been brutal. He deserves this. I can't say otherwise. He did hit a homer yesterday. Maybe he's finally getting on track, and he can turn it around. As I mentioned earlier, that Toronto offense, obviously Vlad's been amazing. A few other pieces have been good, but they have not all pushed in the same direction just yet. So they will eventually. Like the Yankees. The Yankees are struggling across the board. Toronto's issues have been with just a few of their hitters, but overall they've still been mostly fine as a team production-wise, excuse me. And they're sitting right there at 500. They're like 1 game up, 1 game down. They're 11-12 right now. They'll hit a hot streak, and Gurriel will have a good chance to get back to gold. And I'll be promoting him when he does, so stay tuned for that. Corey Dickerson gets some love, +1. Could he get gold? Yeah, it would have to come from power, though. So that's obvious to watch, right? If you see Corey Dickerson start hitting home runs, invest. Otherwise, don't. It's that simple. Kutch gets hit because he's been rough. Clint Frazier has been a nightmare. Now, I would put him a little bit lower on that Yankee list of guys that I would maybe pre-invest in for the inevitable hot streak, because he does not have the track record of the other guys to believe that he's definitely going to be part of a big run. Plus, he could feasibly be sent out. I think he still has an option left. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but he's been brutal. J-Up gets nooched. He can get to silver, but that's probably it this year. Benny down, Grossman down. Unfortunately, he's not been great for the Tigers power-wise, but his OBP is there. 363 OBP. You can't get mad at that. Shore God's down. Like I mentioned earlier, the Nats have been terrible. Young Jock. Hey, but he had that huge spring training. That means something, right? Right? No. He's on the IL now, too. Get well soon. Get back. They did put out a new gold flashback Jock Peterson that will be drafted in every BR that he pops up for me. Taylor Trammell gets +1. He gets a little love here into the bronze realm, but he's been struggling. Pablo Reyes is the only new left fielder, and he's a common. Center field, Fishboy, +1. He's a god. Acuna, +2. He's a god. Buxton, +4. One of the biggest jumps as far as high-tier guys go. He goes 4 as to an 87 diamond. He's been arguably the best hitter in baseball this year. So that's not a surprise. He already has the defense and speed. We knew he was getting back here. The market's known it for a while. I sold on hype. I didn't have that many shares because his price has been pretty high for a while, but I had 4 that I bought, and I sold all 4 of them between 10 and 11K, and I actually sold to the fact where I have none because the price was so high, and I was like, maybe he'll smooth out a little bit and hit a little bit of a dip, and I can either buy back cheaper or worst case buy back at the same price. So we'll see. I might get burned on that, but I was like, I don't know. I feel like he could be somewhere around 9K today on Friday with everyone selling their shares, and then matriculate back up into like 14, 15 over the course of the next few weeks. So we'll see if that pans out. If not, I'll buy him back at 11 and just pay the tax on a gamble that I took. We make moves sometimes that are big time gambles. Verdugo +2. Could he get to diamond? Yes, he could, because the defense is in place and there's one clear avenue where what he would need to do. It's the power. Now, here's the thing. I say yes, he could. What's the likelihood? It's not very high because he's not a very big power guy. But you have one clear thing to look for, and that's home runs. If you see Verdugo on a power surge, it's time to invest because he could get to diamond, especially if it times up perfectly with a potential with a roster update. If he does it the week before, like, let's say he has a power surge starting a Friday before a roster update. So not a Friday like today, but like it would be next Friday. And he just kicks off a power surge where he hits, 3 homers over that weekend, then hits another on Monday. That'd be like the perfect timing to hit 4 homers in a confined space right as they're about to do an upgrade. I could see something like that. That's a pretty specific scenario, but at least you know what to look for. Laureano loses 1. He's been a little hit and miss this year. He's been a great base stealer. So again, fantasy folks are very happy with what he's doing, but that's about it. Now, I mentioned Luis Robert when I was talking about the White Sox in my AL Central video as somebody who is at base price, and he's such a good player that while I do not have him going diamond, anytime soon, why not invest? It's a transcendent talent that it makes sense to just try to invest in him and just hold for the long term. So that's where I'm at. I have a handful of Luis Roberts that I bought at base price that I'm just going to sit on for the bulk of the season, unless something catastrophic changes, right? I hope he does not get hurt. Trent Grisham, one of the obvious golds. He's been on fire. And could he get the diamond? It would take a long time, so we can talk about it down the line. Aaron Hicks has been brutal. I do think he can rebound nicely if he's healthy in that Yankees surge that I keep talking about that I do think will happen. Victor Robles, he is what he is, man. Like, I'm just not sure if the bat's gonna transpire the way a lot of us had hoped when he was younger. We'll see. Tapia again is one of those clear, like he's an even more or he's a less powerful Verdugo. Like he's a baby Verdugo where his like power or his defense is like pretty solid. Verdugo's is awesome, but it's like and we're talking on different levels. That's why I say baby Verdugo, because we're trying to get Verdugo to diamond, we're trying to get Tapia to gold, and so he's like got the power and speed. I keep saying power and speed. The defense and speed is like there. The hitting isn't, and power is the main thing. He has 3 homers already this year. He plays in a very friendly park. If he goes on a power surge, he can get to gold. But I think it would take that or just an amazing batting average. Like if he's hitting 320, like going into June or something, then we can talk gold. But that's pretty outlier. Pollock's been awful. Brian Reynolds got back on track. There was no way he was as bad as last year. So he's back on track. He's back to silver. Taylor gets to silver. He's been all right. He gets a little love. Cano goes to silver. So thankfully, this does not ruin his BR excellence. You know, we like him as a bronze. Obviously, it's cheaper to buy or to draft, but he'll still come up plenty as a silver, and he's still an automatic pick in BR. And there is fringe hold for gold here. He's got a lot of talent. See how he has 4 steals already too? I think his stolen base rating needs to go up a little bit, and he's got the bat that can go off and push for a potential gold. I do wonder why he's still listed as a center fielder. Is he? Because Laureano is the everyday center fielder. I mean, he has played there. He has 38 innings there, so it's not like he never plays center. But he has 153 innings in left. Why isn't he a left fielder? You know why? It's because he'd be right on the cusp of gold if he moved over there. Because center fielder has a lower threshold. Brandon Nimmo gets +1 here. You know, again, his power would be the driving force. And he doesn't have a lot of power, so he's unlikely to go gold. Ian Happ, major disappointment this year from a fantasy standpoint, at least thus far. We'll see if he can get back on track. He's a really good hitter. I do think that, you know, this is a pretty big cold stretch that he's in. I think he'll turn it around, but will it be enough to like be investment relevant? I don't think so. Tyler Naquin had to get some love for that amazing hot stretch that he had to start the year. He has 6 home runs already, but I think silver is his peak. JBJ loses a little bit, has to go down there, and he's in bronze now. Daza gets +5. He's been playing very well, but he's a slap hitter type. He's an even less powerful Tapia. Tyrone Taylor's been amazing in a fill-in role. He's starting to earn some more playing time. You saw how Bradley's struggling. Avisail Garcia's struggling. So he's starting to eat up some of that extra time. Yelich is still on the IL. So there's playing time to be had for Taylor right now, and he's making the most of it. Silver's probably his peak, especially without a full-time role, but I've been impressed with what he's been doing. Now, said the entertainer here comes out firing and just has this amazing start to the season. And, you know, I thought they did him a little dirty. I thought he could go higher here. I had him going up to a 73, still bronze. I thought they'd give him a little bit more love for what he's been doing, but this is fine. This is not egregious. I mean, these are big gains too. So again, I'm not trying to say like, oh, SDS, you know, you screwed him. Maybe it's just that I thought that gains that look like this would have yielded more in his overall, and so maybe they did it exactly how I thought they should have. It just didn't turn in as big of an overall jump as I would have thought. And then Akil Baddoo had to get some love from the common that he was, but he has hit the skids in a big way. And if it wasn't for that power that holding up his numbers there with the 600 slug, things would look a lot worse. You see how close his average and OBP are? That's very bad. And new center fielders, piece of shit Odubel, Shebler, Justin Dean, and Scott Hurst. And finally, right field as we continue and get ready to finish the 14-hour video. Aaron Judge gets nooched. He will definitely be part of the major surge that they inevitably go on. Harper gets nooched. Nelson Cruz gets +1. Here we go again, y'all. Here we go again on Nelson Cruz Diamond Watch. Now, I did have him getting there this week, and I was wrong on that. I'm not selling out on him. I'm sticking in. I'm riding this out, right? The only thing that would change my mind on Cruz is an injury. Otherwise, I'm in. Now, here's a destined for Diamond that I think you should start to focus on. He made Diamond last year. Remember, it was only 2 months, but he had a real disparate season last year where he started off brilliantly and then went ice cold for a long time. And that kind of fit the trend of the Reds. Remember how bad their offense was for most of the year, and then in the playoffs. That's why they got skunked by the Braves, right? They couldn't hit. And Castellanos was a big part of that. But he's off to a great start so far this year. We know that he can get there even with this shit defense. So if he continues to hit and if the power continues to pop off, Castellanos can indeed go diamond. I don't think his price is cost prohibitive right now. So get in, put a few shares to the side, and see what's what. Conforto takes a little hit here. He's been off to a rough start. We can revisit him if and when he hits a hot streak. Yaz has been a little bit rough, and he got hurt, so this is a big bummer right now. Not that I really saw diamond potential, but I just really like Yaz. His late career breakout has been a lot of fun to watch. Honestly, if they were going to downgrade him, can you not just downgrade him to a 79 so I can get him in BR more often? Selfish, very selfish. Speaking of going to be picked in BR more often, Charlie Blackmon card still rakes all the time. Terrible defender, but I'll throw him in left. I don't care. Because even though these ratings come way down, Charlie Blackmon cards have forever crushed in this game. Anthony Santander loses one. He's been struggling. Is he still hurt, or did he come back from his injury? Let me check that real quick. But yeah, he's been... You know, he got that Diamond 42 series card, so if you love Anthony Santander, you already have a great card to play with. Yeah, he's still on the IL right now, so it's going to be a long time before we worry about anything as far as he goes from the hold for gold room. I would not invest right now. Let him get healthy, and then we can worry about it, because he's not on anybody's radar right now, nor should he be. Kyle Tucker gets nooched, and I totally get it. I do like him as a long-term hold for gold, so if you're already invested, stay in there. If not, I don't think you need to get in right now. But if you do, just know that it's a long-term situation, right? He's in a cold spell right now. Once he gets hot, he'll have an opportunity to do some big things. Adam Eaton gets nooched, which surprised me a little bit. I thought maybe his early power surge would get him a little love, but instead he gets nooched there. He did get +8, but he lost elsewhere, and that's what nooched him. If the power sticks, he can hit gold. He could be a sneaky gold, but I would not go crazy investing. In fact, I wouldn't invest at all. If you have some of him, just hold. If you got in this first week, but I would not add to your supply. I had Adam Eaton going to 79, I think. Yeah, I had him going to 79, and I mentioned the power thing. He didn't even get upgraded at all, so don't go crazy here. Speaking of here we go again, we've been trying to get Franmil Reyes to gold for how long now? 14 years, I think, minimum. It's a lower level version of the JD Martinez and Nelson Cruz thing, right? Because we're trying to get him from silver to gold. We're trying to get those guys from gold to diamond, but it's the same thing. It all has to come from the offense, and our initiatives are clear with him, right? As far as what to look for with Franmil, we need him to continue hitting against righties. As you can see, he got a nice 16-point boost in contact against righties. That's huge, but can he maintain? Because that's a substantial gain. Can he continue to hit well against them? He is hitting .314 against righties, but it's with a .407 BABIP. That's not going to the BABIP's not going to hold. So the batting average could be a little bit of a challenge against righties going forward, and that would hurt. Meanwhile, contact and power against lefties could be the best avenue to get him to gold. He's only hitting .258 against them with 2 homers. The power is good, but the .258 is not very special. That's why he lost 4 points. So we know what we have to look for, right? Batting average and mostly power against lefties. But frankly, if he goes off power-wise against righties, he has still 30 points to gain. Don't forget, it can go up to 125. So there's enough to gain here. If I'm on the hold for gold with Franmil Reyes, I've got some shares already. I'm not going anywhere on them, nor should you, if you ask my opinion. Avi, man, this is so disappointing. He's actually gotten the early playing time because Yelich has been hurt. Because remember, coming in, it was Kane, Yelich, Bradley, and Avi 4 players for 3 spots. And Avi was kind of the odd man out because of Kane's defense and, you know, just his overall like leadership in center field and all that. Yelich obviously is a superstar. And then JBJ with his defense and the fact that he's a lefty, so he would play against most righties, he kind of had that the job over Avi. Well, Yelich is hurt. Kane has been hurt for a little bit. So Avi's been playing, but he's been playing horribly. He's not made the most of his opportunity. If you were in on him as a early hold for gold that you thought maybe could do well because you saw a breakout coming, just be patient. Or if you get out right now, I wouldn't blame you that much if you just exchange the ones that you do have. I'll keep an eye on him because I like him. Personally, I am an Avi guy, but it's not good right now. -2 for Jay Hay, +1 for Haniger. I thought he would get a little bit more. They really, really crushed his walk rate. I think I had Haniger going up to 79 and kind of setting up a gold potential. Or 77 I had him. So I had him getting 2 points and setting it up. They only give him 1, which is fine. You know, being off by 1 point, I don't feel that bad about. But I'm surprised they ding that walk rate so much. Does he just not have any walks? Because that's a pretty big dip. All right, this is a really interesting player. So Luplow gets to silver, and the reason he's interesting is because he's completely flipped what he normally does. He's been known as a lefty killer throughout his career, and so that puts him on the short side of the platoon because there's far fewer left-handed pitchers than there are right-handed, and that's just kind of what he does. He beats up lefties, and that's it. So far this year, he's killing righties, and it's come with a big power surge against them. If that maintains, and he gets back on track against lefties, because in the process, he's actually lost a little bit of his juice against lefties. But if the verse righty maintains for Luplow and he gets back on track against lefties, then I do not rule out gold here because his defense is really good. So Jordan Luplow is firmly on my radar right now and somebody I'm keeping very close eye on. The only issue against lefties is that he's only hitting 194 against them, and that's a big issue. But his BABIP is 150. So I wouldn't be averse to getting in on the ground floor on Luplow right now. Don't go too crazy. Don't go getting 100 of him. I don't think that's a good idea. But, 10 or 12 off to the side. And then if he continues, then we'll add more. But right now, you don't need to go super crazy. Duvall, another one of my favorites, kind of like Avi, who I really love, who's underperforming. But he does have a Topps Now diamond, so if you like Duvall like I do, there's a diamond card out there for you to use. Austin Meadows, -2. He's been sputtering a little bit. He's a hot streak away, though, from getting right back on the gold radar. Because that 217 average, if he flips that, he goes on a big hot streak and he's hitting 277. He'll get those 2 points back, and then he'll be right back in the gold focus. Soler, this is just going to put him on more of Clash Tag's BR teams now that he's a bronze, which seems unfair. Dylan Carlson, okay. Now listen, you gave me the Topps Now gold, and I'm very grateful because I'm a big Dylan Carlson guy. Got him in a bunch of my fantasy leagues this year. Rookie of the Year prediction and everything. But you couldn't get him to silver. I thought he's done enough for silver. But here's the thing. I'm going to say this, though. This might be similar to the... what was the one I was talking about earlier where I said I thought he would go up this many, but maybe it's just that the gains that Cedric Mullins, maybe? I think it doesn't matter. It might just be the fact that I thought that these gains would yield more overall, because these are pretty substantial. When you get 3 categories, double digits, and then another at 7, the +2 is whatever. But those are some pretty big moves. So the fact that they didn't get him quite to silver, I think just speaks more to not knowing the volatility of overall as opposed to them doing him dirty. So if he continues to hit, he'll be silver easily. I've got Dylan Carlson's that I'm holding on to the full year because I do believe he has hold for gold, and he's an interesting 2-level guy, meaning he's going to go from bronze to gold at some point this year. That's my prediction, at least. Austin Slater got off to a great start. He's smoothed out quite a bit to the point where he actually has now lost a point. Gregory Polanco, he just continues to become just a massive platoon guy. I could throw left-handed. I'm a righty. I could throw left-handed, which I have absolutely zero aptitude to do, but I would still be able to get Gregory Polanco out, I think, at this point. And I love Gregory Polanco, man. This is such a bummer that he has just had such a weird couple of seasons, these last two. And then finally, our last guy, Adolis Garcia, has been out of his mind. I talked about how much of a nasty platoon split that he had, which means it was going to cap how high he could go. Same as his teammate, Nate Lowe. I talked about both of them when I was doing the upgrade show, and they got their upgrades. But this is kind of where they cap out right now because they have such an uneven platoon. So that's it. That's the roster update review for April 30th's update. 2 weeks, we'll get another one. Who'd you hit big on? Who you still holding on? Anybody on your radar that we did not talk about, put it in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Hit a like and subscribe. Come on out to twitch.tv/sport every other Friday when the content drops for the new roster update. I'm going to be going live right at content drop. We're going to do these reviews, and we go 2 to 2 on those Fridays. Now, the off Fridays be a standard stream where I kind of start in the evening and go from there. But every other Friday on roster update, we're going to go crazy. So thank you so much for watching. Peace.